Serving Essex, Kent, and Lambton counties, this is CBC Television, Windsor 9.
The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports.
The worth of this old mug is its face value. Last time Chicago beat Toronto at playoff time was 1938. It was the year they won the Stanley Cup, and they'd had very little success at the Gardens. Hadn't won there since '67 until they took two in Toronto earlier in this series. Now they have the Leafs on the brink as they get set for Game 6 at MLG. Welcome back to the Broadcast Center in downtown Toronto as we continue our coverage of the 1995 Stanley Cup playoffs on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Good evening, I'm Ron McLean. This reminds me a little of my old forecasting days at CKRD in Red Deer when I was a weatherman and used to get to the map and talk a little bit about high-pressure systems. Obviously, there's one over Toronto at the Gardens tonight, but I wonder about the relative humility. And in this instance, I'll have to defer to my colleague. Let's go to Don Cherry.
All right, who's going to win the game tonight? Yep, better believe it. Hey, listen, the Leafs have got to get in there. I'm predicting a win tonight. No way they're going to get beat 3 times here. They got to fight their way through. They got to dump the puck in, bother Gilmore, make something happen. Don't sit back and wait. This is their building. We got to get them right. Let's go. Go, Leafs, go. Low, Leafs, go. Go, Leafs, go. Go, Leafs, go.
All right, and John Davidson, you're a shill. So there you have it. The Leafs coming to the ice. Evidently, they're alive, according to Don, because only dead men wear plaid. Let's enjoy that reception. Then in a moment, we'll take you to the broadcast booth. You'll be hearing from Chris Cuthbert and Harry Neal.
Cherry's Maple Leafs are 4-2 when facing elimination the past 2 years. Harry, does that count for anything tonight?
I don't think it does, but the Leafs have the emotional and motivational advantage over Chicago of knowing that if they lose, they're out. Chicago's got a home game left. Can the Leafs transfer that to the scoreboard? That's the question.
Now, we know Graves loves Kingston native Doug Gilmore, but it's an old Kingston junior that's really been a great plus for Darryl Sutter's team in this series.
I think Bernie Nichols has been the best forward on either team. He's living proof that you're a good offensive player, you can play well defensively. He wins draws. He throws body checks. He blocks shots. And although he has not scored in this series, he has 6 assists on nice little passes like this, but this is the play I like the best. Nichols hasn't scored in 21 games, passes up the opportunity in the empty net, throws it to Craven, who had 2 goals, and you can be absolutely sure every Blackhawk saw it and appreciated it.
Well, Bernie Nichols has been terrific in this series, and he and the Hawks will try to end it tonight. Right now, back to the broadcast center. Here again, Ron McLean.
Thanks a lot, Chris and Harry. Look forward to your accounts of the game tonight. The two teams haven't given an inch. As you know, much of our passion about the glory of the Stanley Cup is based on the great men who've contributed to the cause as players and coaches. And in that regard, we lost a beauty today. Toe Blake, at the age of 82, after a lengthy illness, succumbed to Alzheimer's disease. Toe, 3 times as a player, was a Stanley Cup champion, once with the Maroons, twice with the Canadiens, and of course 8 times. No other coach has won it more at the helm with the Habs. We'll have more on that story tonight on our first intermission with Dick Irvin Jr. Well, Sunday night at Boston Garden was the final night for the Bruins, and it's a night that many Bruins fans will be remembering, but not one for Brian Sutter to enjoy. As you know, the New Jersey Devils walked in on the strength of Martin Brodeur. They won the series in 5 games, and although Brian Sutter had a tremendous 3 years as regular season head coach of the Bruins, in playoff time he was 7-15, and Harry Sinden's known to pull the trigger in a hurry. You could see the grimace on Brian. He knew that night his fate may well have been sealed, and this afternoon the announcement was made that one of my heroes from Viking, Alberta, who coached 4 years in St. Louis, 3 years with the Bruins, was fired. Already rumors about him going to Long Island, though, and we'll develop that and many other stories as we move along tonight. 2 games later this evening, we'll take you to the best of those after news following the Hawks and the Leafs. It's the 1995 Stanley Cup playoffs. Toronto Maple Leafs face elimination when they take on the Hawks next on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. Back to the broadcast center in anticipation of Game 6. The Leafs 4-2 facing elimination the last couple of years. What about the challenge tonight? For more, here's Scott Oak.
Here are 2 numbers the Leafs prefer not to think of. Up 2-0 after road wins in Philadelphia in '77. They lost the series 4-2. In '87, the Leafs appeared to have the Wings on the run. They won games 1 and 2 in Detroit, but lost that series in 7. Now the Leafs of the '90s must rally. Can Felix Potvin stone the Hawks again? Will this be the game that Doug Gilmour breaks open? Can the Leafs be tough enough, but also show enough discipline? Pat Burns realizes it's gut check time for his team. In the Final Four in each of the last 2 years, the Leafs are used to fighting back, and they must tonight.
5 goals in 5 games certainly suggests that Matt Sundin has been productive, but Matt, that does not take the pressure off for tonight, does it?
No, we've been struggling the last 3 games, and we definitely have to play even better game that we've done and try to get back to the hockey we played in the 2 first games of the series. And we have everything on the line tonight. We're back against the wall, and there's no time to be frustrated or try to find excuses. We have a job to do tonight, and let's go out to win the hockey game.
Now, you can picture a cliche tonight. 4 times in the last 2 years, the Leafs have fought off elimination. You weren't here for any of those series, but how much talk about them is there in the room?
Well, I think the team is confident, and I mean, there's 60 minutes of hockey to play, and we're confident that we can beat the Blackhawks. They've been playing good hockey, but so did we in the beginning of the series, and hopefully we can find the type of hockey we played in the beginning, hard-working and 110% out of all the guys, and I'm sure we have a great chance to beat them tonight.
Thanks for your time. Best of luck, Matt.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Matt. So there's lots of kidding about the cliches that the Leafs are pulling out today. What else do you do? It's hard to imagine them losing, as Don Cherry said, 3 in a row in their own building. These 2 teams each with 13 goals thus far in the series. Matt's with 5 of 13 for the Leafs. Big concern seems to be, from a Toronto point of view, the first goal of the game tonight. In critical games thus far in the playoffs, we've seen often 4-0 leads at the end of a period. Rangers last night get a big start. So Toronto's got to try and get the first goal because the Hawks have been tremendous defensively. A program note for Hockey Night in Canada. I mentioned later this evening we're on the air from California and Vancouver. We'll go following primetime news and local news to one of those games, whichever is closer. Friday night, we may be on the air with a Game 7. For sure, round 2 will begin on Saturday night. The New Jersey Devils face either the Washington Capitals or the Pittsburgh Penguins, and we'll have that one nationwide. Now, let's get you to the Gardens. Chris?
Thank you, Ron. The Leafs didn't demonstrate a killer instinct in their first 2 playoff games at Maple Leaf Gardens. Tonight, their survival instincts put to the test in game number 6. Eddie, the Eagles been soaring for Chicago since the series moved to Toronto for game 3. Lifetime now, 20 wins, 10 losses, 5 ties against the Leafs. Felix Potvin's playoff record now even, 500, 22-22. Only Martin Brodeur has a better save percentage in the postseason. Terry Gregson, the referee for game 6. Kevin Collins, Jean Morin are on the lines, and the off-ice officials are from Quebec.
Well, early starts here, despite the fact the Leafs lost both games 3 and 4. The first 10 minutes they peppered Balfour, but could not score. And I think we'll see the same attitude tonight. It'll be a test for the Hawks to avoid it.
The line that made the difference in game 5 for Chicago is out. Nichols with Murphy and Craven combining for 6 points. Benoit Hogue starts with Randy Wood and Paul DiPietro for the Leafs. Chris Chelios and Gary Suter are on defense for Chicago. And an electric atmosphere again for Game 6 here at the Gardens as DiPietro
Blackhawks, I'm sure, talked about the first 10 or 12 minutes. Some of the things they can do to cope with what they knew would be a real opportunity for the Leafs to get ahead and get this crowd behind them. They have to dump that puck out into the neutral zone. Don't worry whether it's icing or not. Hold up the forecheckers on the shoot-in. Be ready physically for those kind of hits. Lots of whistles, lots of line changes. Don't allow the game to have any tempo to begin with, and no outnumbered rushes through the neutral zone. I am sure Daryl Sutter conveyed at least those messages to his Blackhawks.
Face off in the Chicago zone. Mike Ridley against Brent Sutter. Ridley with Matt Sundin, and they tie it right up from the face-off. And Mike Craig is out for the Leafs, and he replaces Mike Gardner out of the lineup tonight with a rib injury.
Well, Mike Craig has not played in a playoff game for the Leafs. Pat Burns is a hunch coach. He had a lot of people he could have put in when Gardner got hurt. His hunch was Craig. Let's see if it's right.
Ridley in front to Balfour with the stick check. Ridley down. Can't get a shot on. Craig on his first shift puts it in front again and creates a couple of scoring chances for Toronto.
Well, we knew the Leafs had come out on fire. They need the first goal, as Ron McLean mentioned in the opening. They play so much better when they score it. Here the draw is partially won. Craig's got it. Lets the shot go, and Ridley is poke checked by Balfour. A clever play. Not all good plays by goalies are saves. That was a good example. Pat Burns may have used an old Winston Churchill quote today to get his team ready. It's no use saying we are doing our best. We have to succeed in doing what's necessary.
Burns has Bill Berg out now with Rich Sutter and Kent Manderville. Sutter returning to the lineup for the Leafs for the first time since Game 2. The Hawks clear it down the ice, and here's a break for Craven. Gill with the check as Craven is sent into the boards. Craven down, and play is called.
Well, the Hawks will be looking for a tripping penalty on that, but the rule of thumb the referee goes by on those diving poke checks is if the Todd Gill touched the puck before he tripped Craven, they don't call it. Let's look for it here. Gill dives and trips him without touching the puck, and probably got away with what would have been a penalty. Todd Gill and Dave Ellett, who are the two premier point-producing defensemen for the Leafs, have 1 point between them in the first 5 games. They are 2 or 3 of 5 or 6 Leafs who have to start producing, and it has to be tonight.
Fourth change of the game for Pat Burns, and we get to see Doug Gilmour and Dave Andreychuk as Sundin comes back with Craig and Ridley in an offside called. But we are just 1:21 into the game.
Well, Pat Burns, I'm sure, is trying to find out what kind of a reaction he'll get from Daryl Sutter, depending on what line he put out. Very rarely has DiPietro's line started a game this season, let alone these playoffs. I thought Doug Gilmour played one of his, if not his best game of the playoffs in Game 5 in Chicago. And maybe Burns is just letting them sit there a little bit and stew before he gets a chance to take over like he so often does in these big games.
Brent Sutter, Dirk Graham, Eric Daze for Chicago. Graham did not take the morning skate. Here's Craig at center. Sends it in on Balfour. Craig is after it and comes up with it along the boards. Puts it toward the net, but Gary Suter's there. Lost to Sundin. Here's Sundin firing, and that's blocked by Suter. Sundin centers it through the goal mouth. McCowan misses it, but Craig up with it again. Now it's picked off, and the veteran Brent Sutter clears it into the Leaf zone. Hawks making a change as Garth Butcher hands it off to defense partner McCowan. Pass goes off Denny Savard, and Savard sends it ahead. Here's Amati with Poulin, and Amati the blast, Poulin rebound, big stop by Potvin. Smith can't keep it in, now clears it back in, offside, but that's a beauty save to open the game for Felix Potvin on the rebound.
Well, the first shot was not the one that was the most difficult one, but the rebound stop was superb. And Balfour and Potvin in this series. Balfour perhaps a little bit in the first game. Not since. The two Leaf back-checking forwards couldn't catch the speedy Amante. See him coming in here, and Amante didn't get much on it. Potvin makes the stop.
And Patrick Poulin has not been able to solve Felix Potvin. Boy, he's had some great chances. Does have one goal, but a pile of great scoring chances and memorable Potvin saves on number 44. Here's Diddick, shot right on. Another rebound loose in front. Poulin has it. Drops it off to Denis Savard. And now the Hawks are pressuring the Leafs. Amante, who's been flying for the past couple of games, is grabbed by Gilmore, and the Leafs take over. Here's Gill, moving into the Chicago zone. Takes a look. Andrechek trying to get loose. Puck comes in front. Knocked down with a high stick by Savard to get a face-off.
I was wrong there saying Amante got the chance. It was Poulin, and here's a little clip we've got to show you what kind of luck he's had, or how Potvin has had his number. That was game 1. This is game 3, maybe the stop of the series for Potvin. In game 4, Poulin got in alone, tried to deke Potvin and couldn't, and then here early in game 6, Poulin is thwarted by Potvin. Poulin's played well for Chicago, though.
Kenny Johnson sends it into the corner, and Jim Cummins for Chicago. A cross-ice pass, creep across off, has it to the line, and Chancey in a step offside.
Well, the Leafs have scored 3 goals at home here. Not enough to win either game.
Well, look at the clock. They've had some trouble with the Maple Leaf Gardens clock here, and above and beyond the call of duty, someone is inside the clock working on it as the game continues here. Thought the pregame skate might be delayed. The clock was sitting at center ice at about 10-7 tonight. Here comes Gilmore leading the Leafs into the zone with Andrechek and Domi. Pass behind the net. Domi's there, tied up. And Steve Smith comes up with the puck. Sends it out to center, and Kenny Johnson with it there. The Leaf rookie to Dave Ellett, still looking for his first point in the series. Gilmore knocked down at the line. Domi chases after it and knocks Nichols down after the icing call.
Well, the Leafs have had trouble getting to the puck on shoot-ins. So the forechecker that's going to retrieve it can hardly get by the big Hawk defenseman. Marinoff in, Jennings out, and of course Craig and Sutter in for Gardner and Warren Reichel. The Leafs have to get a little forechecking done. The puck was touched by Bernie Nichols to cause the icing, and Domi took him out anyway.
DiPietro against Bernie Nichols. And the Leafs get control from the draw. Last year, the Leafs took the Hawks out in 6. Chicago trying to return the favor here tonight. Just over 4 minutes gone. First period, we're scoreless. Benoit Hogue moving it in to DiPietro on the backhand. Now spins, takes a look, and fires it around the boards. Hogue jostling with Russell, and that buys time for Murray Craven. And up it comes to center for Nichols. Nichols on the right side to Joe Murphy. Cutting in, and the shot, and the rebound knocked wide as Potvin was coming off the short side post. Puck comes out and back in, offside the call.
I'm sure Pat Burns is a little concerned about the kind of chances the Hawks have had. 3 excellent scoring opportunities. Burns is a little concerned about the kind of chances the Hawks have had. 3 excellent scoring opportunities, all of them on the rush. And here's one of them, as Murphy attempts to step inside McCowan and shoots the puck on the fly. And Potvin is forced to make one big stop with his pad and then take it away from Bernie Nichols on the rebound. Benoit Hogue back checks and got a bit of that puck, but Potvin left some juicy rebounds lying around in the first 5 minutes of this game. Usually he's good at not giving big ones up.
Eric Weinrich +4 in the series to lead the Hawks. Sends it ahead and Chicago fires it in. There's Murphy. He can't handle it off the boards, and Ridley. A lead pass too far for Mike Craig. Chelios will get back first. And another icing call. 4 seconds shy of the 5-minute mark in this first period.
Well, Chelios has been a tower of power on the defense for the Hawks. I didn't think he was quite as involved physically or on the rush in Game 5. And you have to wonder whether he might have a minor injury he's playing with. And you also might think that he's a little tired. He's always over the 31-minute mark. And in Game 4, played 36 minutes.
Daryl Sutter was talking about that time today, and he says Chelios is so smart on the ice that he reads the play so well, he can even conserve his energy at times while being out there. And he has looked fresh almost always throughout this series. He's been a horse for Chicago. Mironov dumping it in. Craig Sundin and Ridley, the forward unit for the Leafs against Daze, Sutter, and Graham. And here's the veteran Brent Sutter into the zone. Daze goes to the net, gets the rebound, and Potvin with 2 more saves. As the Hawks get another shot and rebound at the Leaf netminder.
Well, he doesn't want to be giving, Felix Potvin doesn't want to be giving a second chance on easy first shots. And he has on a couple of occasions tonight, and here's what I'm talking about. This was not a difficult stop, and the rebound came right out, and Dirk Graham nearly scored. Unlike Potvin to give those kind of rebounds, he's got big soft pads. One of his talents is, or pucks that hit him just fall in front where he can freeze it.
6-4, Hawks have the edge. Shots on goal. Gary Suter loads it up, fires, and that's a nice toe save by Potvin. Gary Suter with his 20th shot on goal in the series. He leads the Hawks in that category. Pass across ice, Mike Craig. Backhands it for Sundin. Tries to center it. Sutter there for Chicago. Ridley kicks it free. Craig fires. Toe save Belfour. Todd Gill moves in. Sundin's behind the net. Gary Suter has him tied up. Mike Craig takes it free, and Belfour will hang on.
Well, you have to admire the Hawks. Not only are they thwarting the Leafs' early surge, but they are getting better scoring opportunities, taking advantage of perhaps a Leaf team that's too exuberant and not thinking enough. But forechecking is the name of the game in the National Hockey League for a lot of teams. And if you can hurry the defenseman up, battle your way past the people holding you up, you can create a scoring chance. Mike Craig's been fairly energetic in his first 3 shifts in the playoffs for the Leafs. He's a big, strong guy who shows you 3 or 4 times a game that he could be a real useful player, then disappears and you don't see it again.
From the face-off, McCowan's shot. Couple of feet off the target. Butcher at the other side. Andrechuk behind the net. Here's Andrechuk off his skate in front. And Amonte collects it for Chicago. Up ahead to Denny Savard. Here's Savard at the line. Diddick in the rush as well. Savard blasts it. Rebound. Poulin. And Felix Potvin down. Making another pair of saves. Andrechuk for Toronto. Rink wide. Domi at center. Ty Domi working against Diddick. And Diddick, or Steve Smith checked that. With the check out in front of the net. And ahead to Denny Savard. 6.5 minutes gone. First period, Savard back in. And offside is the call.
Well, the Toronto Maple Leafs have not been as diligent defensively as they usually are. And the Hawks are getting chances, and Potvin's giving them a bonus chance all the time. Poulin, who's had more clear-cut chances than any other player in this series and yet to get a goal, had another one right there. Potvin looks awkward to me, but he's making the save.
Shots now 9-4 in favor of Chicago, so that opening 10-minute rush that we saw in games 3 and 4 for the Leafs. Not happening here tonight.
4 of those 9 shots have been rebounds.
Bernie Nichols back in with Murphy. And Murray Craven. Craven gets it to Murphy, who lost his footing. Now Todd Gill tripping over Craven. Can't get it out of the zone, but it's underneath Gill and tied up for a face-off. And now the Gloves get up into the faces of Gill and Murphy. Craven there. 7:07 gone. First period. It's scoreless in Toronto.
The Chicago Blackhawks are playing with the same lineup in Game 6 as they did in Game 1. A coach's dream. You're happy with everyone. Or your replacements are no good. One of the two. And these 4 fellas have done an excellent job. They haven't got much in the way of compliments. Suter and Chelios get all the kudos, but these 4 guys do a good job and are really causing the Leafs some problems on the forecheck, being unable to get to the puck after the shooting.
The other nice thing for Daryl Sutter, with the exception of Jeremy Roenick, he has a healthy team and has had from game 1 to 6. Murphy brings it in offside. Craven trapped.
Well, Daryl Sutter, Rich Sutter, all the Sutters in this game, and there are 3 of them, Brent, with a heavy heart as their brother was fired today as the coach of the Boston Bruins. I mentioned it to Daryl at 4:30 at the Gardens, and he didn't know it. So I felt I was the carrier of a lousy message.
And Dwayne Sutter's in the building as well.
Right, he coaches Indianapolis, the Hawk Farm team in the IHL, and he's here in the press box on the headset. So there's 4 of them here with a job and 1 in Boston without.
That's Brent Sutter trying to tie it up and now spring it free for Chicago. Draped along the boards by DiPietro, but Sutter, typical of the family, a real workhorse, almost got it in front, and Randy Wood will take over for the Leafs. Cross-ice pass for Holt. Now Jamie McCowan pounds it in, and Holt will go after it. Todd Gill has it along the far boards. Holt waiting for it behind the net, but Chelios is there. Taken away by DiPietro. Paul DiPietro. This sputted back behind the net. Gary Suter with it. Up the boards for Daze. He pushes it ahead, and it's kicked forward to Chelios. Chris Chelios to the line. McCowan waiting for him there. Now Graham takes it away. Boulan can't get the shot off. And McCowan will lead the Leafs back. Here's Jamie McCowan to the line. Drops it off. Hope to Gilmore. The backhand covered by Belfour. And it's held by the Hawks for a face-off in the Chicago zone. And while they untie here, let's join Scott Oak.
All right, Chris, here's the most publicized player not playing in this series, the Hawks' Jeremy Roenick.
The most famous knee in the NHL right now. He's just come back from Birmingham, where he's had yet another MRI for your insurance company. What'd you find out?
Well, I went there and I got it fully tested. I got strength tested. I got mobility tested, and it's about 85% back to normal. And the doctor informed me that if I went back and played now, there's a chance that I'd re-hurt it again. So that's one of my concerns right now, and I just have to go on that.
Just to be clear on this, then, if there's a Game 7 of this series, you can play.
Right.
I got that right?
Right.
All right, maybe we'll see you in the next round.
Next round, hopefully.
Thanks, Jeremy. Chris?
I think I heard Jeremy telling Rich Sutter today he's about a week away. And the Hawks hoping they can give Jeremy Roenick a series to play in as they try to finish the Leafs off here tonight. 10:50 to go. In this first period, still scoreless. Andrechuk at center. Gilmore was loose at the Chicago blue line. Pass didn't reach him. Belfour around the boards. There's Domi for the Leafs. Puts it back behind the net. Diddick is pumped by Gilmore. Ellen pinching in. Amonte gets it ahead. And now Nichols is after it at center ice. Here's 3 Hawks over the line. Bernie Nichols in, and he hit the side of the net. Craven on the other side. 3 points in game number 5 as pass doesn't get across. Andrechuk now, missing Todd Gill. Puck sliding back into the Chicago zone and icing the call.
I think the Leafs have given up more clear-cut chances to score against them tonight in the first 10 minutes than they did in most of the games they've played. And often it has been a mistake that gave the Hawks an odd man advantage on the rush. And here's an example right here. Nichols finally tries to go with the short side rather than make the pass, and he misses the net. Here's the shot on the short side, and you can see that it was off the side of the net.
So the face-off again in the Leaf zone, and Savard wins the drive. Comes back to Chelios and Suter. Another shot on goal, and Potvin covers that.
Well, I'm sure Pat Burns is worried about a number of things, not only the good chances that the Hawks have had. They can't win many face-offs in their own zone. And if you start without the puck often enough, you're going to pay for it.
Game 5 in Chicago, the 100th playoff game of Pat Burns' career. Record now 52-48. Ridley now out to take the draw. Trying to atone for a -3 in Game 5. Suter doesn't get the shot through, and Bill Berg pushes it ahead. There's Rich Sutter on the near side, working in against Chelios. Belfour around the boards, Ridley after it there. Rich Sutter helping out against Kulak. It comes loose for the Leafs. Ridley gives chase, and now Berg is after it against Chelios. Bill Berg comes up with the puck. Gets it to Ridley. Chelios watching him. Sutter leaves it for Berg. And the puck doesn't get by Chelios, and the Hawks get it out to center. Cam Russell for Poulin. He can't control it. Ridley goes after it. Here's Mike Ridley. Wrist shot. And Belfour covered the short side. Bill Berg knocks his man down behind the net. And they fall on it for a face-off. It's underneath Weinrich.
Well, a big-time body check by Berg on Eric Weinrich. Weinrich falls on the puck for the face-off. The Leafs have lots of energy, but they're not being rewarded for it. The Hawks are poised in their own end and dangerous in the Leaf end. Ridley works hard to chip the puck off Poulin, chip the puck off Weinrich, but Belfour on a shot from just off the face-off dot makes a glove hand stop. Look where Belfour is, almost at the bottom of the circle. I'm sure Ridley couldn't see much of the net at all on that shot.
Scott Oak was telling me that Mike Ridley indirectly helping the Winnipeg Jet cause. They auctioned off one of his Capitals game jerseys today in their fundraising drive and collected over $1,000 for that. Mike, a native of Winnipeg.
Well, this game is developing like a lot of them have developed. Not many goals, excellent goaltending. Here's the smartest guy in Maple Leaf Gardens. He must be sitting in the end of the rink, and he's going to make sure nothing happens to him.
.908 to go here in the first period, and the fans trying to pick the Leafs up here. They've been outshot 11-6 so far.
And they've been outchanced 6-2. And 4 of those 6 chances have been glorious scoring opportunities.
Ridley back out with Sundin and Craig. Chelios bedded ahead. A Hawk trapped inside the line, so Chicago has to check up. And Dmitry Mironov back in the Leaf lineup, hands it off to Ridley. Daze takes him up. Gary Suter sends it back in on goal. Todd Gill, another Leaf defenseman without a point in the series. Fed ahead for Craig too far. Leafs trying that breakaway pass, and once again called for icing. 8.5 minutes to go here in the first period of Game 6.
Down, he's still trapped in the clock over center ice. When he went to watch repair school, he never thought he'd be in this kind of a situation. The other problem is, other than the face-off at center ice, he doesn't see any of the game.
Yeah, that's an obstructed view seat. Brian Ashdown hoping they'll let him down before this
is what
game's over.
Brian sees.
Got a good view of the opening face-off. Well, the Hawks trying to move into the second round for only the second time in the last 5 years. And Nichols on this draw wins it back to Chelios. Gary Suter with some room, fakes the shot, moving in, Suter right on. Hotman trying to clear it to the corner. It comes back to Suter again. Hawks dominating this first period. Still looking for the opening goal. Chelios the shot on. Hotman couldn't glove it down. Joe Murphy in the corner. Tried to get it to Craven. McCowan knocks Murphy off the puck. DiPietro up the boards. Murphy in front. And Butcher, without a stick, was able to block the shot. Benoit Hogue turns back. Around the boards, Chelios keeps it in. Leafs are bottled up. Now will skate up. Hogue across ice. Randy Wood into the zone. Todd Gill going for the net. Off a skate to the corner. DiPietro behind the goal for Hogue. Back to the point. Here's Todd Gill's shot. That's off the target. Up with it, DiPietro. Back to Gill. Over to McCowan. Here's the shot deflected. And that ends up in the corner off the stick of Hogue. And this time it's the Hawks clearing it down the ice. And icing the call against Chicago with 7:13 to go here in the first period as the Leafs try to test Belfour. From the face-off, Chicago gets the puck and out to center comes Denny Savard. Poulin cruising in on the left wing. Stopped by Mironov. Savard after it along with Poulin in the corner. Domi takes his man to the boards, but it's Savard up with it. Amonte loose. Savard drives it right on. And that's shot number 15. Leafs can't clear it. Potvin comes out to try. Dave Andreychuk now able to get it out to center, but Denny Savard there, and now Gilmore takes over. Almost intercepting was Amonte. Ty Domi off the boards. And the Leafs look tentative in this first period. In a game they have to win to prolong the series. Savard back in, short side. Potvin the save. Savard clears it in front. Todd Gill is there. Now the Leafs break out. Gilmore with Andreychuk. Andreychuk watched by Chelios, and Chelios takes it away. Up ahead for Patrick Poulin. 6:06 to go, first period. Kenny Janssen, the rookie, goes back in his own zone, watched by Sutter. Hella to hit to Berg. And now Sutter for Chicago. Hit referee Gregson with that clearing attempt. And now it deflects off Berg over the glass out of play.
Well, the Hawks are the far superior team so far in the first period with 5:46 to go, but it does not show on the scoreboard like it does on the shot board. Chelios here. Very quick, turns to the outside and heads Dave Andreychuk off. When you're playing in a hockey game of this importance and you've given up 4 3-on-2s, you've given up 7 big rebounds, and you've lost almost every faceoff in your own end, you are lucky that you're not behind. Darryl Sutter knows it, and so does Pat Burns.
Here's Eric Weinrich and Daze clearing it in for Chicago. Leafs have Manderville, Sutter, and Berg out, but they can't get it out of the zone. Potvin again out to help his teammates. Brent Sutter takes a look. Daze's in front. His shot doesn't get by Ellis. And now Manderville skates out. Checked by Graham. And the Hawks showing airtight defense and why they won the Jennings Trophy for the 3rd time in 5 years. Belfour out of the goal net. In the corner for Weinrich. Manderville on him. Back it comes to Butcher. The shot doesn't get through, and it's Brent Sutter. twice a Stanley Cup winner with the Islanders. Rolling it in on Potvin. And with the Hawks changing, Potvin ahead to Berg. His clear in, flubbed down by Chelios. Now Cummins to Krivokrasov. And the Hawk rookie is in. Drops it off. Suter rolls it towards the net. At the side of the net, Chance. Can't get it out in front, and Butcher takes over. Biggest shot period of the series for Chicago. 17 already. 4.5 minutes to go. Now the Leaf fans getting on the home side.
Well, they've been outplayed as badly this period as they were in the game they stole in Chicago. So maybe that's the game plan they're going with.
Joe Murphy up ahead to Craven. Carroll Sutter saying Craven's the man that got this line going for Chicago. Can't get loose that time. Smith moving in. Murphy in the corner. Taken to the boards by Butcher. Now it's Craven trying to center it. Ridley up court for the Leafs. Up ahead it goes, and here's Sundin working in. Matt Sundin. Poke check by Smith. Sundin now. Down, tries to center it. Nichols there. Back come the Hawks, led by Craven. Murray Craven to the line, checked by McCowan. Following up, Nichols fires it high. McCowan up the boards for Craig. He can't handle it. Hawks have it again. Here's Amonte. Can't get the shot by Gill. Now play whistle down as Diddick and Craig were shoving at each other at the Chicago line. And penalties coming up with 3:24 to go in the period.
Underrated defenseman for the Hawks. Watch the play Steve Smith makes on one of the more dangerous one-on-one rushers in the National League, Matt Sundin. And here's the penalty. Craig and Weinrich collide right in front of referee Gregson, and the first penalties of the game are called. The teams will play 4 skaters against 4. They've each scored a goal under these circumstances in this series.
Hawks with the series high 17 shots on goal, had 16 in the third periods of game 1 and 2 in games that Chicago lost. So Leafs almost look like they're trying to get Chicago to shoot themselves out here in this first period.
The Leafs had the first 2 shots too, so they've really been on the wrong end of this game tonight.
Now 4-on-4, Gill moving in. His shot doesn't get past Suter. Up ahead to Nichols. Nichols just cruising as Chicago makes a change. Craven went to the bench. Graham came over the boards, takes the pass. Backhand right off the rebound, scores! Dirk Graham ending a drought of 27 games without a goal. And Chicago, on their 19th shot of the period, has the lead.
Well, it was a bad angled backhand by Dirk Graham. But Potvin gave him the second chance with a big, fat, juicy rebound. And Graham hopped on it, eluding the defenseman, Todd Gill, who seemed to stop once he saw Graham shoot it. And then by the time he decided to try and hook Graham's stick, he couldn't. And it was by a surprise Potvin.
His first goal since March 16th. Dirk Graham did not skate this morning, and there was some thought that he might not play tonight, but he was just resting, and opens the scoring at 17-12 from Chris Chelios and Bernie Nichols, 2 of the stars of the series. For Nichols, it's assist number 7. And here's Graham again. Allowed to walk in, and he drips the shot wide. 19-6, the shots on goal. Here's Mironov with Gilmore. Dmitry Mironov has McCowan open, fires it, and Belfour got a piece of that. Brent Sutter hit Gregson, now gets it ahead, and Steve Smith deflected it out to center ice. Jamie McCowan at center to Sundin. Back to McCowan at the line, tied up, 2:02 to go in the period. Here's Joe Murphy speeding into the Leaf zone. Can't get the shot away against Mironov. Mironov up the boards. Ellen, cross-ice pass. Andrechuk winds up, fires right on. And Belfour with the stop. And controlling the rebound.
Well, as usual, in the Western Conference playoff game, Don Cherry will be on Coach's Corner. And we will pay a tribute to the legendary Toe Blake, who passed away this morning. Anybody that's coached in this league has to admire the record this guy had. Here's another look at the goal. Dirk Graham on a bad-angled backhand that was poorly handled by Potvin, and Graham put the rebound in. 9-2 the chances for the Hawks. 19-8 the shots, and 1-0 the score, all in favor of the team in red.
Nichols against DiPietro, wins the draw. 18 seconds to go in this 4-on-4 situation that's netted Chicago 1 goal. Nichols back in again. Nichols against Ellen. It's such a heady play by Nichols to wait for Craven to go to the bench on that goal. Watch Graham jump over the boards and then fed him the pass, which led to the goal. Now Dinnick and Craig out of the penalty box, so the two teams back at full and even strength with 1:15 to go in the period. Suter to Chelios. Samanti's cruising at center ice, and Nichols follows up. Here comes Nichols again. He's upended. And the lead, under a minute to go, drops it off for Andreychuk. And Andreychuk is checked. The puck comes back out to center. Todd Gill, pressured by Amonte to Mironov, and Dinnick fires it in. Hawks forechecking is Mironov. Pass too far for Andreychuk. Leafs looking anything but crisp in this first period. Now Gill back into his own zone. Daze forechecking. Todd Gill ended the season 19 points in his last 18 games, but has been held scoreless. Check that 1 assist in this series. Now Smith. Up ahead to Daze. As time ticks down in this first period, and it was a great period for Chicago. Fans booing at the Gardens. 19-8 the shots on goal. Hawks with the lead as we go to the broadcast center and Ron McLean.
Thanks, Chris. David Seeley of the CBC was assigned the task of ensuring Don Cherry's safe return from Maple Leaf Gardens, and I'm disappointed to report that David's been successful in his mission. Here's Don Cherry in the elevator making his way to the floor here at the broadcast center in anticipation of Coach's Corner, which is next on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
Coach's Corner with Don Cherry.
Well, that's it. Your cheerleading days are over.
Whew. I don't understand it. They got nothing to lose. What are they holding back for? They don't even look like they want the game. I was up more than them.
Maybe they are nervous, though.
Nervous, schmervous. What are they? How long have they been going? Get out there. I bet you, Pat, the paint is peeling off the walls right now. Stick your head in cold water. Get going, you guys. This team can be beaten. They're lucky to be down 1-0.
19-8 were the shots. Eddie Belfour looks sharp. Toe Blake died today, Don.
Who looked sharp? Eddie Belfour looked sharp.
He looked sharp. Great
Well,
blocker.
he had 8 shots. What about Potvin?
Well, yeah, he looked sharp, too.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, though, if they got to conquer, they got to come back. Yeah, well, I can understand that. Although, you know, those are Blackhawk colors. I didn't want to say anything. You had a great hat on earlier, but how about your thoughts?
I play both ends.
How about Toe?
Well, I'm not laughing on this one. I loved this guy. I really did. I knew him personally. I just thought of something. I used to go in his old bar. It was an old beverage hall, eh? And I used to take the Colorado Rockies in there, you know, and the old guys were sitting around, but he was a great guy. You know, in 1976 in the Canada Cup, I won Coach of the Year, cocky guy. I was like the darling and everything like that. And Scotty and I were coaching, and I couldn't go on the ice with Scotty.
How come?
Well, you can't have 2 head coaches. I wasn't picking the pucks out for him, and he wasn't picking for me. Anyhow, I'm sitting upstairs with Toe, and I'm a cocky guy. I found out very fast. I didn't know anything about hockey. This guy was a genius. He won more, I think he won more cups than
Stanley Cups.
Unbelievable. And the players were afraid of him, but they loved him. And
Scotty has got a chance. Got 6 now. You saw him tonight at the Gardens, I know.
I just saw Scotty, and he's almost in tears.
Leading disciple. Okay, let's talk about Brian Sutter. Coach, your record, 5 years with the Bruins is intact. Poor Brian, no chance.
Well, I think Cam Lely, I'm not going to get on the Bruins because they try right to the end. I hear Harry said they didn't try. They did try. They don't have the talent. Let's face it, you got 3 guys, Oates, Cam, and Bork, and that's it. And Cam says you got to get some more guys. 3 guys can. They just key in on the 3 guys. Oates never had a chance. That's it. I'm not knocking the rest of the players. Harry's going to have to open up the purse strings and get some money out there.
You were also very upset about Brendan Shanahan.
Of all the things in the last 10 years I've had and watched, this upsets me the most. We had a great thing, Coach's Corner, on him. He's just scored a hat trick. After Coach's Corner, he goes out and scores a goal, and then he breaks his ankle. And you know, all you kids, I've been giving it to all those guys laying on the ice. Watch this guy. Go ahead and roll it. Watch this guy with a broken ankle. Watch this. Now look, he's got a broken ankle. Look at him. He jumps over the boards. That's the kind of guy you want. Brendan Shanahan, God love him, watch. I've had a broken ankle, folks. It is the most painful thing in the world. I tell you cry, you're in such pain. And this is the thing that's upset me more in the last 10 years that I've been on Hockey Night in Canada. Isn't that something, I mean, I really feel bad.
Most upsetting, go ahead.
I want to, no, that's all I got to say with that one. I'm saying about a lot of bad things that happened.
Yeah, most upsetting thing to me is Andy Van Helem. I still can't get over the press release ripping him.
New York.
Oh, go ahead.
I know and we're going to do a little thing about maybe later about I hear Ronnie Hogarth is a little upset. Are you going to get him on? You said no.
No, we can't have him on, but
I'll do it then.
Somewhere.
I'll get on it then. I'm so happy for Colin Campbell. He is one of the best coaches of all. And, you know, these kids couldn't even listen to the radio. You know that? They were ripping them to shreds. So I'm happy for him, but I have a very bad taste in my mouth about that series. First of all, a referee who's the best referee in the last 20 years, who's still the best referee, is chastised, reprimanded, anything you want, embarrassed and fined because of a faker. A faker. This guy is hurt. He's hurt the league laying on there. I don't know what they're going to do.
Nedved did it again last night. Well, he 4-on-2 the other way.
4-on-2 going. He's laying there, and he gets up and he's out dancing after that. You asked me what to do. I have no idea what they're going to do. But I'll tell you something. Mark Messier, all you kids out there, listen to this, gets hit with a screamer. Who's the stick with it? Wolanin. Screamer, 3 teeth, 9 stitches. The trainer comes to him. He goes off, never finishes the shift. Hey, get away from me. Finish the shift. Him and Eric. How much time I got?
You're out of time.
I'm out of time. I want to talk about Eric Lindros.
We're going for about 60 nights, so we can get back to that.
All right, Eric Lindros and the Moose. Wait till they get together. I'm going to talk more about
a little coaching tip for you. If you got 2 head coaches, you can't be on the ice picking the pucks out of the net for each other. That'd be a rubber match.
A what?
That'd be a rubber match. We'll have a tribute to the greatest coach coming up next on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC.
He was the greatest.
Hector Toll-Blake was born in Victoria Mines, Ontario, August 21st, 1912. Broke into the NHL with the Montreal Maroons in 1934, and from there went on to the Canadiens the following year. He could score goals. A hard-nosed left winger, he won the scoring title and the Hart Trophy in 1939. And when the old lamplighter ended his playing career, he began his destiny as a head coach. From 1956 to 1965, consecutive Stanley Cups. The kiss of life. He was fierce and vocal, not always loved by the referees. As a player, he won the Lady Byng Trophy. As a head coach, he carried the Canadiens to the top on 8 occasions. The tradition of the torch being passed is the foundation of the Montreal Canadiens. As a player and coach, Toll carried it for 4 decades. No one ever held it higher. Very pleased to be joined now by Dick Irvin at his home in Pointe-Claire, Quebec. Dick, let's start with Toll-Blake as a player. What do you remember?
Well, it's an interesting thing, Ron. We think of Toll-Blake as a coach, the modern generation, I guess, but he's in the Hall of Fame as a player. winning the scoring championship, winning the Hart Trophy, winning the Lady Byng, 3 Stanley Cups. And as a player, he was a competitor. That's the word that comes to me as I reminisce a bit to myself today about Toe Blake. You know, the punchline had those 2 great superstars with him, Elmer Locke at center, Rocket Richard in right wing. But he made sure every single night that they played like superstars. Now, I always remember Elmer Locke telling me that when Toe Blake was captain of the Canadiens, you never fooled around in practice. Hockey was a very serious thing to him as a player, and of course he carried that particular trait over as a coach.
Maybe he passed it on to Rocket Richard because he was a Lady Byng Trophy winner, but they say the referees weren't fond of Toe because he was always yelling at the referees.
Well, for a while there, he's kind of like the Stan Mikita thing. Started off as a feisty hockey player, ended up as a much more gentle hockey player at the end of his career.
What was his greatest quality as a coach?
Well, you talk to the men who played for him, Ron, and I think they all seem to talk about his ability to know his players. Jean Beliveau told me one time that 10 minutes into a game, Toe Blake knew which player was going to have a good night, which player was maybe not going to have such a good night. It was that touch he had with the men who played for him that enabled him to handle them so well and win so many championships.
Toe Blake's epitaph's not on a tombstone, it's on the Stanley Cup. 3 as a player, 8 as a head coach. Hector Toe Blake, dead at the age of 82.
As we get set for the second period, Chicago with the lead on a goal by Dirk Graham, and the Hawks thoroughly dominating the first period of play. Joining us now from the Detroit Red Wings already into the second round, Coach Scotty Bowman. Scotty, we want to talk about the Wings, but first of all, I'm sure you have some special thoughts about Toe Blake today.
I was fortunate when I was a young coach in junior hockey. I shared an office in the Forum, and I remember when I went back to Montreal in 1971, Toe gave me the best advice I ever could get. He said, don't worry about this team putting the puck in the net, worry about it going in your net. So I've always taken that with me.
Well, Scotty, you have a week off. Is that too much this early in the playoffs?
You always like to get a little rest, Harry. We had a lot of momentum, but we'd have no injury to speak of. I would rather played after 4 days, but I'll take the rest.
And right now, uncertainty of who you will play in the next round.
4 possible opponents, as we know: San Jose, Vancouver, and Chicago or Toronto.
The only team that the Red Wings can't play in the next round, the Calgary Flames, the number 2 seed, as Sundin is dumped in the Hawk zone and Chelios out to center ice. How do you cover all of those series now from a scouting point of view?
Well, Danny Belial's our head scout, pro scout, and he's covered this series. He's also Ken Holland has been out west watching the Vancouver and the St. Louis series, so we had seen San Jose quite a bit down the stretch, so we're hopeful that you're not going to get a lot out of the teams have changed, and they will also change as the next series goes on.
Scotty, if you play the Hawks, what are you going to do about these 6 big defensemen? They're pretty good, aren't they?
I think the way that Darryl said it tonight, he's trying to give it a little bit of a rest to Chelios and Suter, but he's very careful, Harry. Every time it's a Sundin or an Andrechuk, he tries to get Suter against them, and I noticed they play Russell and Weinrich, but he's very selective. I think what you have to do is put some offense against them.
Well, the Wings had plenty of that. How much of an emotional hurdle was it to get by the first round for the first time in 3 years?
Our team was very tight. I think we can play a lot better, Chris. We just wanted to get that win so badly, and we were fortunate. Dallas had some injuries that helped, and to beat them in 5 games should help our confidence.
Was Mike Vernon a big difference?
We give up 10 goals in the 5 games, and then when we needed the saves, he had them in the 3rd period. And I think what he brought to our team, though, the confidence that we had a goalie that was a #1 goalie for a long time with a very good team in Calgary.
So when you're practicing now, you can't very well talk about any specific opponents, so you're just trying to keep the boys in shape and remind them of a few things.
Scrimmage, Harry, today and tomorrow. The team, we have some boys up from Adirondack team. We've added a couple of our good prospects. So we've got about 31 players in camp, and it's like training camp again.
Well, the Leafs trying to get back to basics after a terrible first period in game number 6. Outscored by only 1, outshot 19-8. And they tied up for another face-off in the Chicago zone. I think just about everybody in the building, Scotty, surprised by the way the Leafs came out tonight, because there didn't seem to be any desperation in their play.
Well, obviously, when you're down like the Leafs, you have to be so careful that you don't want to fall behind. And if they could have come out even after one. Now they have to open up a little bit, and certainly from the standpoint of Chicago, they'll be trying to sit on that goal. They're such a good defensive team, #1 defensive team in the league this year.
And Gerald Diddick showing a little discipline there, not being enticed into any penalty situation. Diddick takes a shot on, and the blocker saved by Potvin. Gilmore takes Sutter out of the play, but here's Dirk Graham with the loose puck. Trying to thread it through to Sutter, and Todd Gill knocks it into the corner. Gilmore trying to get away from Graham. The Hawks forechecking again, and it's Daze to the net. Potvin will hang on. Just over a minute and a half into the second period, and that's the goal scorer, Dirk Graham.
Now you got an elderly defense core there in Detroit, so these, if you can get a little space between rounds, it should help that part of your team anyway.
And Mark Howe was just about ready. He was ready if we would have needed him. Harry played the last 2 games of the season. We feel good about our defense. The fact that we did use Coffey and Lidstrom quite a bit down the stretch. We cut their ice time enough in the Dallas series, maybe down to about 24, 25 minutes. But Bob Rouse has been a very good addition. Mike Ramsey, they've done a very good job.
Well, that's the story so far. Complete domination by the Blackhawks. And just the 1-goal lead. Chelios out at center ice. That's Jeff Shantz. The former Regina Pat without the helmet, working it in and winding up through a screen, the shot on goal. And Sundin outlets to Randy Wood. Here's Garth Butcher jumping into the rush, drops it off for Wood. Weak shot, Belfour out to play it, and he'll hang on for another face-off in the Chicago zone.
Might get in a bit of trouble, Harry. I better mention another defenseman you might know, Slava Fetisov, who's really come up big for us down the stretch. He's 37 years of age, but when I see this guy pass and shoot at his age, what a player he must have been when he's 25, because we can enjoy him at 37.
Well, you have to like the Hawk defense here, boy. If you want to go to the net against this team, you better get the equipment on, because they make it a rocky road. And as this series has evolved, I think the real obvious difference in the teams are the defense corps.
It seems that anything close to Belfour, he's been able to control the rebound. If he doesn't control it, you're right, Harry, there's been no rebound shots by Toronto.
And Scotty, only Detroit had a better road record than Chicago this year, and home ice advantage hasn't been a real advantage in these playoffs. Has that changed over the years?
Well, we were happy that we got our home wins, because we're behind 500, I think, the home team. Chicago this year different in the United Center, but they played a great road game in Detroit the last game of the season.
Leafs have not lost 3 straight at home in over 2 years. Down here 1-0. Early in period number 2, Murphy on the ice now with Nichols and Craven. And it's Murray Craven sweeping it into the Toronto zone. DiPietro, Sutter, and Berg out against the Nichols line, and the Leafs send it the length of the ice. And Sutter back to get it, icing the call.
Well, if you play the Hawks, I think you're going to see number 27 in there before the series gets too long, Jeremy Roenick. They're doing him a favor, the Hawks, by winning and giving him a little more time to get better. He told us that the doctors in Birmingham said he'd be 1 week away, so you better get his number up on the board if you play the Leafs.
The good thing for the Leafs, though, there's still at least over 40 minutes left, 1-goal game. I think the Leafs are in a position, if they could generate something, and you've seen all the games, of course, that everybody has written them off. And when you're in that position, if you ever get close again, you know, the momentum can swing. But Chicago, like you mentioned, they're a good road club, and the Leafs are only down 1 and they're at home. They've got to get this crowd in the game with some offense.
Well, coming up in our second intermission, Ron McLean will talk to the Red Wing captain, Steve Yzerman, as the Wings get set for round number 2. And the Hawks and Leafs trying to claim their berth in the second round. Here's Mironov to center. Tried to dump it in. Looked like it hit a high stick. Pat Burns waiting for the call. Play continues, and Patrick Poulin to the Leaf line. Dmitry Mironov pushing it ahead to Andreychuk. And here's Andreychuk over the line. Trying to get it through to Gill. Can't get it by Weinrich. Now hits Domi with the clear in. And around the boards it goes. We'd like to thank Scotty Bowman for joining us. And good luck to the Wings throughout the playoffs. Scotty Bowman, yet again, a candidate for Coach of the Year.
the second period for hooking number 10 right here to the right of Eddie Balfour. I would call it cross-checking, but what's the difference what they call it? It's 2 minutes, and the Leafs get a chance now to tie this game up. And sometimes when you don't deserve to be this close and you score, you can grab that by the tail and ride it.
Well, there's the story of the Leaf power play. It has not been that effective at Maple Leaf Gardens so far. They have Sundin at the point. Here's Gill open. The shot. Balfour down. Craig chopping at the pads. But Balfour able to freeze it.
Well, a real smart play by Todd Gill. First, he realized that the Hawk penalty-killing forward, who was in charge of him, that is the point man, left and created a huge space. You can see right here, Murray Craven gets roaring away off into the corner. Now he can't get back. And Gill lets a shot go from 21 feet out, but cannot beat Balfour.
Well, two of the messages in the Leaf room this morning regarding the point men was to get the puck to the point men quicker tonight, and for those point men to get the shot away quicker. Here's Sundin moving in. Pass for Holt, bounces over his stick. Ridley takes over. Ridley along the board. Sundin pinching in against Dirk Graham. Leafs keep it alive. Here's Ridley walking in. Back to Craig, and Dirk Graham was there to take it away and get it out to center. Fans thought Ridley should have shot from there. And Gill clears it back in. Minute 10 to go in the power play. Ridley along the boards. Back it comes to Sundin and Gill. Back to Sundin. Into the corner. Mike Craig is there. Chelios for Chicago. Up the boards for Brent Sutter and a backhand down the ice. And the fans getting on the Leaf power play here. Lead pass for Gilmore at the line. Here's Andrechuk stepping onto the ice. Big shot and a glove stop by Balfour, who looks it right into the glove.
Well, two big saves by Balfour. Andrechuk's got a hard shot, and he got everything into that one, and Balfour just picked it off like the apple was ripe in the orchard, and he wanted to take a bite out of it. Here it is right here. I don't know if that one over the net or not.
Well, Burns fired up at the bench. And his Leafs showing a little sign of coming out of it here in the second period. But the puck out to center ice with under a half minute now left in the Tony Amonte minor. Here's Gilmore to Sundin as they wheel in. Shot on, rebound. Puck is loose. And now a beat to Bironov scores.
Kick it in, and the puck comes right back to Mironov. Eddie Balfour cannot get back in the net. He's trapped by his own defenseman, and the Leafs score. And there's blood pouring to the heart of the Leafs after it had gone without it for about 25 minutes.
He had 6 power play goals last year. Mironov with his first of this series after being benched in game number 5. Mironov back, and he has the Leafs on the board. Let's see if that gives the Leafs some adrenaline here as they're back on even terms. Puck at center ice for Berg. Clears it ahead, and Chelios will take over. Goal scorer. Elliott gets his first point of the series. Doug Gilmore his 4th assist. At 5:17, Cummins for Chicago. Around Manderville, and down goes Cummins, and Chicago will get a power play opportunity right back.
Well, Manderville takes an untimely penalty here as big Jim Cummins Vanderbilt had to trip him or only got part of him is that he went for the puck. And when he saw he couldn't get it, Cummins had moved and Vanderbilt grabbed him. And on this Leaf goal, all 5 skaters on the power play seemed to have a chance to score it. Mironov, being the 5th, put it into the open net. Sundin lets a 51-footer go with a little mustard on it. The rebound is out. 3 Leafs get a chance. And then you can see that Bernie Nichols piles over Belfour, and Belfour had no chance to get back in the goal.
And now Chicago goes on the power play with a chance to deflate this Leaf enthusiasm. But the Hawk power play, which was #1 during the regular season, is dead last in the postseason. They're 1 for 23. And the Leafs with the best penalty-killing unit in turn. Here comes Chicago. Savard, Murphy, Nichols up front. Chelios and Suter the point men. Kenny Savard in the corner gets it to Nichols. Suter at the point. Over to Chelios. Randy Wood on Chelios. And Chelios gave it away, and it's cleared by the Leafs down the ice.
Well, it isn't just that the Hawk power play is not functioning well. Let's give some credit to the Leaf penalty killing, and it's been a good part of their program all year long.
Number 5 during the regular season. Here's Nichols and Murphy behind the net. Murphy trying to center it. Now gives it back to Nichols. Out to Suter. 5 shots on goal in the first period. Nichols down low. There's Savard back to Nichols. Murphy's in the slot. Here's a shot. That changed direction, went wide. Chelios across the front of the net. Bernie Nichols with 40 seconds to go. To Savard down low in front. Gill is there. And a chance for Berg on the backhand. Can't get it by Suter. Nichols with it again. In for Savard. Trying to force it in front. Doug Gilmore there. And he flips it over the glass out of play. 24 seconds left in the Hawk power play.
Well, the Hawks had control of the puck, but never really got a good chance. What a play by Gary Suter at the offensive blue line to keep it in by kicking it. And you can see 1 for 33 if you count the season play between these two teams. Hard to imagine any team in the National League having that dry a power play. Especially the Hawks, but oh, how they missed Jeremy Roenick on it.
7:40 gone here in the second period. Dirk Graham opened the scoring late in the first, but Dmitry Mironov, a power play goal from Ellen and Gilmore. And now the Leafs' other specialty team trying to do its job, and the penalty power play's over because a tripping call's going against Patrick Poulin.
Well, off the face-off, McCowan had a chance to get the net and pound the puck down the ice. Ridley won the draw. Poulin was chasing him and followed him from behind, and referee Gregson made the call. Here it is here. Ridley wins the draw. McCowan wants to get to the back of the net so he can drive it around. No Hawk point man over there at the right point. 20 seconds left in the penalty to Manderville, and the Leafs will get another power play. Daryl Sutter, I'm sure, tried to remind his players at the end of the first period, although they were the superior team, the scoreboard did not reflect their superiority.
Well, it's a series in which momentum has not been sustained by either team. Sutter talked about a bad goal, a bad penalty. Any kind of mistake can turn the game around, and the Leafs seem to have responded after the power play goal by Mironov. 4-on-4 briefly. Gilmore and Sundin against Graham and Sutter. And here's Dirk Graham trying to get around Todd Gill. Gill takes the puck away. Around the boards for Gilmore, and out come the Leafs. They're now at full strength. Gilmore to the line. Up against Chelios. And Chelios nicely takes it away and past Todd Gill down the ice. Hawks change penalty killers as Nichols is back out. Here's Andrechuk into Chicago territory. Brings the boards, and Dave Ellett plays it. Back in behind the net. Off the stick of Steve Smith. Gilmore to Andrechuk. Gets tied up with Gregson. Back out to Gilmore. the stick of Chelios. In front to Gilmore. Nichols whacks at it. Comes back to Mironov. Here's the shot. That hit Andreychuk. He's tied up with Smith. Gilmore back to the point and over the stick of Mironov down the ice. Nichols calling for a fresh recruit. And behind the play, it's Gilmore and Smith exchanging shots. Chelios sends it the length of the ice. And 35 seconds left in the man advantage. A 1-1 tie with 10:45 left to go. Second period, Sundin on the move. Racing in. Diddick takes him to the backboard. Centered in front. Quickly. Backhands it wide. Weinrich lost it. Sundin centers and Graham is there. And he locks it over Janssen down the ice. Dozen seconds left. In the penalty to Poulin. Kenny Janssen slowly. Up ahead it goes to Mike Craig. Flying through center. Craig centers it. Hold tied up. Knocked down by Weinrich. McCowan the shot. Lobbed by McCowan. Craig knocked down in front. As the whistle went.
Well, the Leafs, that goal has renewed the energy. As everybody skating faster and completing more passes. Eric Weinrich gets a roughing penalty as he punched Mike Craig in front of the net right here after the point shot was caught by Balfour. And two guys that have had all kinds of problems with each other. Smith and Gilmore. This little animosity started when Smith played for Calgary, or Edmonton, and Gilmore for Calgary.
Eddie Balfour down as the Leafs go on their third power play, 1 for 2. And they'll have to regroup at center. We've gone by the midway point of the second period. Sundin to Gilmore, now Gill returns it to the Leaf captain. It's behind him, but Gilmore. Outlets to Andreychuk. Leafs fired in, Gilmore goes after it. Brent Sutter has it to Nichols, and they'll send the Leafs back. Dirk Graham and Murray Craven now are out for Chicago to kill the penalty. Sundin dumped in front of his own net, and he'll turn it back to Ellen. Ellen, watched by Craven, just gives it away at center. And these fans getting on the Leafs immediately when things aren't clicking. Here they come now out at center. Gilmore into Chicago territory. In for home. Bumped by Suter. Out it comes to Ellen. There's a shot right on, and Balfour covers. With 43 seconds left in the Weinrich minor.
Well, I'm sure Dave Ellett would like to have waited a little longer till he got some white shirts in front of the goal, but he was being pressured by the Hawk penalty killer and had to shoot it right away, and it was an easy stop for Eddie Balfour. And here's the shot I'm talking about. The Leafs a little late getting to the front of the net to screen Balfour, but you can see Balfour. He's at the end of the bowling alley, and that's where the ball's got to come, Chris. And Ellett got it there in a hurry, but it was an easy stop.
12th shot on goal for Ellett in the series without a goal. Ellett and Mironov were a real force last year for the Leafs in the playoffs, combining for 9 power play goals. Mironov has 1 tonight, and he's paired with Ellett again. Leafs win the draw. Ellett tees it up. That shot deflecting wide. And Brent Sutter, the great Hawk veteran, skates it out and fires just off target. Mike Craig in his own zone, challenged by Sutter. Nichols is forechecking, and Ellett, with 23 seconds left in the man advantage, leads the Leafs out to Sundin. He flips it in. Ridley is after it. Craig in the corner, back out to Mironov. Here's the shot by Mironov. That hits Sutter. Ellett tries. That's off the target. Sutter after it. Gets it by Mironov, and Bernie Nichols Nichols. One-on-one against McCowan. Wrist shot right on. Penalty over. Weinrich is on the ice. Hawks back at full strength. 8 minutes to go. Second period, it's a 1-1 tie. Lead pass too high for Murphy. Sliding the length of the ice and Butcher touching it. Icing the call against Chicago. And a 1-1 tie in Game 6.
Well, Doug Gilmour heads a very elite group of Leafs with that assist on the goal. 67 points, tying Dave Keon.
Here's Domi scores! Ty Domi from an impossible angle. And the Leafs have 2-1 lead.
Right off the faceoff, Ty Domi circles the wagons here, grabs the puck, and heads into the corner. And I think he really surprised Eddie Balfour by shooting from there instead of looking for a man to pass to, because Balfour is not ready for the shot. And Ty Domi scores his first goal as a Toronto Maple Leaf, and a timely one at that.
Gilmour has just gone by Dave Keon on the all-time Leaf playoff scoring list. 12-14, time of the go-ahead goal. Domi from Gilmour. And play whistle down on a high stick as well. Gilmour with the 2 assists goes by Stan Mikita into 13th place on the all-time Stanley Cup scoring list.
Now there's another look at it. You wonder if this wasn't a design play, not the goal, but the face-off play. Because you saw Anderchuk take out the right winger, the right defenseman, to give Domi this kind of room. But Eddie Balfour just missed it. It was a bad-angled shot right along the ice. If Balfour had stood there with a stick on the ice to score, it'd still be 1-1.
And the Leafs have outshot the Hawks 14-3 in this second period. After being thoroughly dominated in the first. 2-1 Toronto. Mironov and Domi the goal scorers. Now Shantz pushing it ahead. Krieber Krasov skating into the Leaf zone. Vanderbilt all over him. Mironov flipping it. Shantz clubbed it down. Couldn't control it. And Todd Gill. Out to Bill Berg. Vanderbilt. Right in, and he fired it wide. Looking for his first goal of the year. Vanderbilt tied up by Chelios. Rich Sutter has it. Back behind the net for Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt beating McCowan. Shot ricochets to Gill. His shot doesn't get through against Suter. Todd Gill down low to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt pushes it in front. Back it comes. Gill shot right on. And Ed Balfour makes the save, but the Leafs are buzzing.
The fickle fans have changed their tune here at Maple Leaf Gardens. 2 goals by the Toronto Maple Leafs has aroused the emotions of this sellout crowd, and the Leafs look like the Hawks looked in the first period.
And Doug Gilmour has helped generate it with a pair of assists in the second period. Didn't talk to the media after Game 5 in Chicago. He's done some talking in this second period.
He was always one to do it with deeds and not with words.
Here's Dinnick at center for Chicago. And that Karam's out of play with 6:12 left in the second period.
Well, the Hawks weren't rewarded in the first period with their excellence and have fallen foe to an inspired Leaf team here in the second period. They have dominating, and we're moving Gilmour up into the #1 spot. The most glaring stat right there is Gilmour did it in 45 games. Far fewer than any of the others, as great as those former Leafs were.
Boy, it's the honor roll right there. And Gilmore back out with Domi and Andreychuk. And he's matched up against Craven, Murphy, and Nichols. Hotman will not let it go with Craven cruising around.
Well, the stories about Toe Blake will come out now, especially now after his passing. Joe Murphy's grandfather, Tom Murphy, played semi-pro with Toe Blake. Tom, who will turn 80 this weekend, lives in Elliott Lake, and what a proud grandfather he must be of his grandson, Joe Murphy, and how sad he must be at the passing of Toe Blake.
Well, there's Rick Walmsley, a former Montreal Canadiens goaltender who related another Toe Blake story today. After one of his early wins in Montreal, he met Blake for the first time. Blake came and sat beside him in the dressing room, and Walmsley was flushed with excitement to be talking to the legend, who proceeded to ask him, "Kid, when you're in the corner, who's playing goal?" And the great old coach had gotten his message across.
Walmer said, "No one, Mr. Blake. I shall stay in the net."
And Rick Walmsley was never known as a wandering goaltender after that. Graham in the corner. Ridley rides him down. And Mike Ridley skates out with the puck. Craig on left wing. Mike Craig dropping it off. Elliott pounding it in. Rebound. Scores! Ridley.
Backhand pass to Mike Craig, who drops it to Elliott. Ridley there for the rebound, and Eddie Balfour. This end of the rink, the south end of the Gardens, has been the end. Both goalies have given up rebounds on routine shots, and that one cost Eddie Balfour the goal. And this place is alive, and Eddie Balfour is going to be replaced by Hackett with 5:24 to go in the second period. This move surprises me. It makes you think, whether it's true or not, that Daryl Sutter, if he leaves Hackett in, has said, "We're going to play Game 7, and I don't want this guy to get shelled." Now, he may just be taking him out to take the momentum out of the Leafs. Pat Burns is complaining that this goaltender change is a move as a stalling tactic, not because he really wants to change the goalie. You can get the equivalent of a timeout by making this move. Balfour has not taken any of his equipment off in the bench. It makes you think he will go back in on the next whistle and take his time doing so.
Rich Preston with words for Balfour, and if necessary, we will be in Chicago on Friday night.
Now Burns is screaming from the bench that referee Gregson is giving too much time to Hackett, and Sutter is smiling to himself because that's exactly what he wants.
And now Terry Gregson's ready to drop it. And Gregson doing a good job of ignoring Pat Burns at the Leaf bench.
Well, Eddie Balfour has shuffled down to the far end of the Hawk bench, and maybe Sutter is going to leave Hackett in.
Second appearance by Hackett in the series, as the Leafs have chased Balfour in period 2. A remarkable turnaround considering how unlively the Leafs were in the first period. Ridley taking his man to the boards. Craig comes up with it. Sutter watching him. Sundin puts it in front. Here's Gill, and he shot it wide. As the Leafs try to test Hackett. Diddick rolls it out to center. 4:44 left here in the second period. 3-1 Toronto. Mironov, Domi, and Ridley the goal scorers. Doug Gilmour and Dave Ellett with 2 assists apiece. Now Randy Wood has a break. Hawks caught on a change. Wood shooting. Goes through the pocket. And Smith clears it away. Gilmour now turns. Leafs come right back in. Nichols breaks up the pass. McCowan pinching. Murphy got there first. And here's Craven one-on-one. Craven the shot high. McCowan off the boards. And it goes past Chelios. Could be a break for Gilmour. Smith chopping at Gilmour and broke his stick. And we've got a penalty coming up on the slash by Smith against Gilmour. All Leafs in the second as they go back on the power play.
2 left in the second period. Steve Smith gets a slashing penalty here when he chops Gilmour's stick in half. Gilmour showing him the evidence. But Mr. Gregson, what do I do with this stick? And I thought the Hawks had too many men on the ice as well. The Leaf bench was screaming, but it was unnoticed by the linesman, and the referee was busy calling the penalty, and Eddie Belfour is sitting on the end of the bench and may well not come back.
The Eagles been grounded at least temporarily, and the Leafs on the power play, but the Hawks on the attack. It's Gary Suter in and a shot on goal, and Potvin hangs on because Brent Sutter is in the neighborhood.
I don't think I can remember a series when the picture changes as it has in this one. In parts of every game, one team has dominated, not always scored, but dominated, and then the next thing you know, the wind blows them out of the way, and the other team takes over. And this has been a graphic example of mood swings, first by the Leafs, and then by the Hawks. Playoff beards.
And scars.
They are as common as overtime games, and not nearly as good looking.
Here's Andrechuk dropping it back to Sundin. 30 seconds gone in the power play. Gill shot. Rolling just wide. Gilmour taken down. Gets up and has the puck. To Hogue. Back to Gilmour. Back pass to Hogue. Out of the corner. Watched by Suter. Now Gilmour trying to spin away from Craven. Sundin's moved down in front of the net. Here's Hogue. Gets it to Sundin. Back to Gill. Gilmour open. Trying to roll it through. Can't get a shot away. Andrechuk fishing for it. He comes up with it. Minute to go in the power play. Leafs 1 for 3 on the night with the man advantage. Todd Gill. Nichols watching him, and what a great job of shot blocking he's done in the series. Gill can't get it by him. Now does. In front. Hope can't find it. Comes back to Sundin. To Gilmour. There's the shot going wide. And it's around the boards past Gill. And Sundin picks it up in front of the Hawk bench and winds up with a half minute to go in the man advantage. Here's Sundin cruising in. Wood going to the net. Back to Ellett. There's the blast, and it goes high. With 21 seconds left in the power play, 2:23 remaining in the period.
The Leafs are arguing that that puck hit a Chicago player and went out of the rink, but I don't think they're going to get anywhere with Gregson. Now, when you see this guy Sundin pick the puck up and you're an old-time Leaf fan, is it Sweeney Schreiner? Is it Frank Mahovlich? Or is it Matt Sundin, or a combination of the three? Boy, he can fly, this guy. And the Leafs are arguing that that hit a Hawk, not a Leaf stick. They're not going to win, and the face-off is going outside.
Matt Sundin with a goal a game against Chicago this year. 10 games played, 10 goals. Has yet to hit the scoreboard tonight. But the Leafs up 3-1.
He has a 5-game point streak going, 5 goals, 1 assist. And going into tonight's game, led all players in shots on goal with 22.
Speaking of the shots, 25-23 Chicago. But remember, it was 19-8 after one period of play.
The chances to score in the first period, 9-2 Chicago. And in the second period, with 2:23 to go, 8-2 Leafs a complete turnaround for Leafs in second period.
Well, it's also unusual. The second period's been the Leafs' worst this year in the regular season and in the playoffs as Hackett holds on, and just 4 seconds now remaining in Steve Smith's penalty.
Well, the Leafs played the second period like I thought they'd come out and try to play the first, but the Hawks were the team that were alive in the first. Mike Craig has played a useful game here tonight, and he has not played a playoff game and is in there because Mike Gartner is injured and has made his presence known. And he has done this half a dozen times this year. Come back after not playing much or not even dressing and make the coach look like he should have benched.
Craig gets it back to Mironov. His shot is blocked, and Smith will come out of the penalty box, and Mironov just gets back to the puck ahead of him. Now it's Joe Murphy snapping the shot, gloved down by Potvin, and he'll hold on for faceoff. 1:51 to go here in the second period.
Bench with a little less hair is Tommy Ivan, a Hockey Hall of Famer and a grand old gentleman at that, who used to coach and manage the Hawks.
Here's Berg feeding it out to center. Rich Sutter on the ice. He dumps it in. Gerald Diddick behind goaltender Jeff Hackett. Now Berg comes up with a puck. And hit the side of the net. Manderville is down. He took a stick in the face, and he's trying to shake that off.
Well, he was part of a four-man collision. Gregson is checking with the linesman to see if anyone saw it. And Manderville is getting up slowly and appears to have been hit over the eye. Here he comes, Manderville, in here on this line with Sutter. And he takes out Krivo-Krasov, and he eats part of Krivo-Krasov's stick, as you will see right here. No penalty. Now here's what's happening in front of the net. Garth Butcher came all the way off the point to clear the snow from the side of the net that Hackett keeps piling up. And now the referee Gregson is doing it. But the Hawk players resented the fact that Hackett had compiled a snowdrift beside the goalpost. Don't forget, the Beastie Boys were in here last night at a concert, and this place was jumping. Kevin Collins is making us a snowman for someone here. As you can see, the ice is soft. And when you can take 2, 3 snowballs from beside the net, it might be an NHL record, and present them at the Leaf bench. And the reason that the officials don't want the snow there is that the puck, if it's rolling harmlessly anywhere near the net, it may stop in the snow.
In fact, there was that area on the other side. Bill Berg hit the side of the net there.
Bernie Nichols says to Kevin Collins, we love your skill as a snowman maker. Would you make us another one? And Kevin, being the congenial guy that he is, and you can see at the other end, Felix gobbles up the snow. He doesn't let it sit beside the net.
Well, you know,
and that's why he's such a cool customer in goal.
Cats are much cleaner. Play resuming after Kevin Collins with a snowman for each bench. And it's Ridley. Up the board, Steve Smith pinching in. And 70 seconds to go in the second period. Bill Berg down the left wing, one-on-one against Diddick. Feeds it off to Rich Sutter. Diddick takes him up. Berg follows up. And Sutter slow to get up. Rich Sutter hurt.
Rich Sutter,
the check from Gerald Diddick.
He hurt his left shoulder or arm. And I can tell you this, when the Sutters lie down for any longer than 1 second, there's something seriously wrong. It is a family trait, unless he got winded. And here it is right here. A clean takeout. Sutter gets up and goes to the bench. Pretty tough to say what happened, but Sutter doesn't appear to want to go to the first aid room, but trainer Chris Broadhurst is coming along to see what the problem is. Sutter played the first 2 games and then hasn't played since, so
we'll see if he plays in the third. We're in the final minute of the second period. Kriva Krasov racing into the Leaf zone. Trying to get by Butcher. Looks to center, but it goes off Domi. And now Domi tears after it. Lost the stick, tries to kick it ahead to DiPietro. Good hustle by Ty Domi, who helped ignite the Leafs in the second period. Hackett up the boards. Kriva Krasov bumped by DiPietro and slashed DiPietro. And Kriva Krasov, who got the stick up on Manderville earlier, is now headed off for slashing.
Well, the Hawks have had enough trouble this period without Krivo Krasov adding to the problem by taking a retaliation penalty. He's one of the players that loves to tuck his sweater in. It's becoming a more popular fad around the National Hockey League. Steve Smith is arguing the call, but he's not going to get anywhere. Krivo Krasov, with 19 seconds left, gets a slashing penalty, and the Leafs get a power play. But the most important thing for the Leafs is they get 1 minute and 40 seconds to start the third period. And you know the Hawks would love to have invested that 1 minute and 40 in a comeback.
Leafs with a power play goal tonight. It was scored by Dmitry Mironov and got the Leafs going at 5:17 of the second period. Following that, Domi and Ridley. And Ridley out to take the face-off against Nichols. Andrew Chuck Gilmore, Gill, and Sundin. And Ridley wins the draw to Sundin and Gill. Gilmore behind the net looking for Ridley. Chopped by him. And Brent Sutter gets it down the ice. That should do it for the second period. And the Leaf fans saluting Toronto for a vastly improved second period as Felix Potvin and teammates will skate off with the lead. Coming up in our second intermission after 40 minutes, Ron McLean will talk to the captain of the Detroit Red Wings, Steve Yzerman, awaiting their second round opponent. Big period for the Leafs. And after 4...
This playoff edition of After 40 Minutes brought to you by Bell.
Tonight on After 40 Minutes, a visit with Stevie Yzerman, the Detroit Red Wings captain, who scores here on Andy Moog, who was sensational for the Dallas Stars, but Andy wasn't enough. The Red Wings rolling on to victory Monday night. Mike Vernon accepts congratulations. Detroit 4-1 over Dallas, en route to the second round. And Stevie Y joins me now from Joe Louis Arena, Detroit. Steve, congratulations on the victory. Tell us about it.
Well, thanks, Ron. Well, obviously, we're delighted to get by the first round this year after the previous 2 years. We played pretty well in the series. Andy Moog was great in all 5 games. Our power play got us a good jump in the series in the first 3 games. Our power play really carried us in those 3 games. After that, we were able, unfortunately couldn't win it in 4, but wound up in the 5th game winning 3-1 and a close game throughout.
Big talk about the defensive game plan Detroit's using, and talk of forwards going back, staying high. Does that include you? And tell me about that.
Well, yeah, it includes everybody. You don't get on the ice if you're not a part of it, so that's the way it works here. We obviously have changed our style of play this year, and we've been a much more defense-oriented team all year long, and we make sure we have a player high. We're trying to eliminate 3-on-2s and 4-on-2s against us, so we're making sure we have that high guy, and it was just something that we continued throughout the playoffs.
What about emotionally or spiritually? Did Scotty have any special pregame talks before Game 1? And was there an approach to the playoffs that's maybe different from the previous 2 years?
No, just the same theme that we've had all year long, and we're going to play well defensively. We know what we're trying to do on the ice and just keep our chances against down, and that's something that's been stressed all year, and they stressed it throughout the practices before the series against the Stars, and again today in practice the same thing. It's just a theme that we've had all year long, and they really drill it into our minds, and every day, every practice, it's something we always talk about.
Maybe a tough question for a captain instead of a coach, but which players maybe stood out for you that you didn't expect such big things from in playoff pressure situations?
You know, one player in particular was Slava Fedosov, the old veteran, really played extremely well and made some great plays on a couple of goals. Dino Cicerelli, after coming off, missed the first 2 games with a sore knee, came back with a hat trick in Game 3 and the game-winning goal in Game 5. Slava Kozlov as well had a couple of key goals for us and played extremely well. And Vernie, although in a few games he didn't see a lot of shots, really made the saves when we had to. In particular in Game 1 in the last minute, he made a couple great saves, and in Game 5 at home here where he didn't face a lot of shots but made a couple of real big saves and really made the saves when we needed him to.
Excellent. Well, it's great to see you win the first round and especially do it in 5. Good luck in round 2, Steve.
Thank you, Ron.
1925, the final season that the NHL met the WCHL for the right to claim the Stanley Cup. The WCHL challenger on this occasion was the Victoria Cougars, led by the legendary Lester Patrick. Their opponent was the Montreal Canadiens, the speedball line of Morenz, Joliette, and Boucher. All 4 games were played in BC, and the Cougars, with a balanced attack, won the best-of-5 series in 4 games. Stanley Cup Legends, brought to you by... Back at the broadcast centers, our coverage continues. Game 6 at Maple Leaf Gardens, the Leafs leading the Hawks 3-1.
How's Belfour doing?
Belfour not doing too good.
How about Steve Smith breaking that stick like that? I wonder what his stick's made of.
Well, I don't know. That's that new fiberglass, and you probably want to make a point about fiberglass is dangerous and get us in trouble again. Remember the aluminum sticks in Washington?
That one. Well,
okay.
Fiberglass was steel, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
all right, here we go. This here, I'm only on this here to talk about one thing, Winnipeg. The citizens have done it. The city has done it. The province has done it. In other words, to give the money. The strippers have done it.
Everybody's doing it.
Everybody's doing it. Now, it's up to Senator Lloyd Axworthy, good Canadian guy that he is. I'm sure he's right in there now fighting for the federal to put it in. And I know with next Coach's Corner we have, I'll be saying, Lloyd Axworthy got the money and the Jets are there. I know, you know Lloyd will do that, don't you?
I'm convinced he'll do it for the chance to be mentioned on Saturday night's Hockey Night in Canada. Why wouldn't you do it? What a wonderful scene. Did you see that last night? 35,000 at the Forks?
Unbelievable. I mean, that's Canada. That's how many times do I have to say this? Yeah. People going to a place like Minnesota where I talked to Stuart Gavin, believe it or not. If I got to just, Stuart Gavin told me that Norm Green give $15,000 away to get the people coming in. They were playing in front of 7,000 people a game, and they're going to take that lovely team and put it in Minnesota. No way. Lloyd, I know you're going to get the dough, and Jean will back them up.
Yes.
Automatic.
That's your pitch.
Yeah, better.
And it's a high pitch, I might add.
Yeah, I might.
Okay, Scott Oak from Winnipeg would love to hear you say such things. It is a wonderful story in Manitoba, but let's get back down to Maple Leaf Gardens and check in with Scott.
Here's Chicago assistant coach Rich Preston. Rich, you've got a period left to come back at the Leafs or take your chances in Game 7. What do you have to do?
Well, you know, 2-goal lead in hockey isn't real safe, so we got to come out this third period and throw everything at them. We lost our composure there, and let them have a couple of goals, and you know, it's still a 2-goal hockey game, and we got to come out strong in the third.
Yeah, penalties hurt you. I should imagine staying out of the box is a priority.
Yeah, we took some bad penalties. You can't do that in playoff hockey, and those will kill you.
Rich, thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
3-1, Toronto Maple Leafs lead the Chicago Blackhawks. Third period actions next on Molson Hockey Night in Canada and the Stanley Cup playoffs on CBC.
Ed Regan is sorely outnumbered at Maple Leaf Gardens tonight, one of a very few number of Chicago fans at this game. He is from Chicago, attends all the games there, and has made the train ride to Toronto for this game. Ed, what do you think of your Hawks tonight?
I think Toronto has certainly has an edge in goal throughout most of the series, and tonight is no difference, and the Hawks certainly haven't given the effort needed. And this will go to a Game 7, no doubt, and it'll be kind of a toss-up in that game.
Ed, very tidy assessment for a man who is totally blind. That's what makes you unique as a hockey fan. How do you follow the game?
I do a combination of listening to the guy on the radio and following the sounds on the ice. It's different for each announcer the way I do it, and it takes some getting used to, but the guys on the radio here in Toronto do a great job, so it's not too difficult.
All right, Ed, thanks for your time. I'm sure the Hawks appreciate your dedication.
Well, thank you, Scott. Great story. A Hawk fan was happy when Dirk Graham opened the scoring in the first period, 17-12, and it was all Hawks, 19-8 the shots on goal, but what a difference in the second period. Mironov's power play goal ignited the Leafs, then tied Domi from a bad angle on Ed Belfour, and Mike Ridley's goal chased Belfour from the net, 17-8 shots for the Leafs in the second.
Well, let's have a look at these goals. The Leafs all had a shot at this one, and finally Dmitry Mironov, with Belfour trapped out of the goal and no chance, puts it in the empty net. Ty Domi shoots from a bad angle, and Ed Belfour, who's been great this series since game one, lets a bad one in. And then the third goal of a great period, and Hackett is in the goal. I talked to Darren Bang, who used to be the Hawk, worked for the Hawks, played for the Hawks, and now he's ESPN. He told me that Ed Belfour will not be bothered at all by being pulled. In fact, he thinks Belfour will be tougher than he would have been when they put him back in Game 7. Sutter knows that. Goalies can't take being pulled in big games.
Hackett's facing a Leaf power play to start the third as Randy Wood tries to fire, but Dirk Graham sends the Leafs back. 30 seconds gone, third period, and 1:10 remaining. The slashing penalty to Krivo Krasa. And Sundin ahead to Andrechuk. Gilmore down the left side. Pair of assists in the game. Sliding to the backboards, and now back to Gilmore. Now across to Sundin. Craven on him. Hackett down. Rebound. Scores! Randy Wood!
Forechecking, kept the offense alive, and again another rebound here. A bad one by Hackett, allowed Wood to grab it and put it in. That makes 3 Leafs, who scored their first goal of the 95 playoffs tonight. Wood on this one, Mironov on the first one, and Domi on the Leafs' second goal.
In his 50th Stanley Cup game, Randy Wood has a power play goal, the Leafs second with the man advantage tonight. Sundin and Gill get the assists, and it's 4-1 Toronto. And the Leafs look like they are ready to force a 7th game for the 5th time in their last 7 playoff series. Here's Craven back, shot right on. Craven in the corner, Nichols in front, but the puck comes to Ridley. Up ahead to Mike Craig, who has 4 shots on goal in the game. But clear down the ice, they rule Weinrich could have played it, so no icing. Nichols feeds it ahead, Diddick up at center, Craven bumped by Butcher. And Jamie McCowan will turn. Here's Craig. Stick handling at center, got to the red line, but flipped it over the glass and out of play.
Now let's have a look at some ice times of some of the key players tonight. Sundin and Gilmore, almost identical times on the ice. They're going to be up over 25 minutes. Chelios is going to be over 30 again. And that's just a habit for that number 7 for the Hawks. The Leafs have outscored the Hawks 8-5 in third periods in the first 5 games, despite the fact they've been outshot 64-47, and here they have another third period goal. The fans, the ushers, the police making sure nobody bothers the Hawk players on the bench. Of course, Maple Leaf Gardens, one of the few rinks in the National League where the benches aren't protected by glass.
Harry, we talked about Chelios' ice time. Is there a point? Well, let's get to the hot rush here. Amonte to Gary Suter in front. Poulin! Robbed again by Potvin. Penalty coming up. Poulin in the corner. Flips it out in front. Denny Savard takes over there. Hackett's out of the goal. An extra attacker on. Chelios goes deep. Centers it. Savard can't handle the bouncing puck, then drills it wide. Tony Amonte in the corner. Leafs can't get control. Here's Amonte dropping it down for Nichols in front for Poulin. Behind the net it goes Denny Savard. Knocked off his stick. Chicago still with possession though. Chelios. And finally Finally, Gilmore touches it, and this penalty call coming against Toronto.
A long delay penalty. The Leafs could not get the puck. The Hawks had all kinds of puck control time, but never got it where they could score. So the Leafs take a penalty here early in the third period. And Mironov gets a roughing penalty. And he wasn't sure he was the man. That can't be the penalty, can it? Well, this is the penalty here. Once he gets Savard down, he sits on him.
So Mironov gives Chicago its second power play of the game. Hawks were 0 for 1 without a shot on goal in their first power play. I was going to ask if there's a point in the game where Chelios might get rested for Game 7, but right now he's on the power play. You see the save again by Felix Potvin on Patrick Poulin. The Hawks trying to cut into a 3-goal lead. A shot off the post. They score! Denny Savard baking it in from the side of the net. And the Hawks are back to within 2.
I can tell you this, there won't be any rest for Chelios now. The power play shot from the point went off the goal post right onto the stick of Savard. Here's the shot coming here, a bad angle shot. And it goes off the post, and Savard puts it off Potvin and into the goal. You wonder whether Savard was trying to pass the puck across in front of the net, and Potvin was spread wide open, and Savard gets a goal for the Hawks with lots of time left in the third to make it 4-2.
Bernie Nichols gets his second assist of the game and his 8th point of the series. He leads the series in that department. Here's Ridley. Sharp angle shot off the side of the net. Strikes behind the goal. So is Ridley. Sundin cruising in front. Can they get him the puck? Pratt shooting it. Sundin reaching for it. Swept to the line and out. Also an assist on the Hawk goal to Gary Suter. Greg deflecting it back in. And Hackett stops it behind the net for Chelios. Up to Dirk Graham on right wing and out to center ice for Nichols. With Murray Craven, Suter jumping into the rush. Here's Nichols firing it high. 8 assists for Bernie Nichols in the series. And Nichols with it again. Graham's loose. Puck in front and it's swept away by McCowan. The length of the ice. And the Hawks showing a spurt here after the power play goal by Savard from Nichols and Suter at 2:48. Primetime news and local news. Tonight we will show you one of these 2 games, the Flames and Sharks, Blues and Canucks. With the Blues and the Sharks on the brink tonight. Second half of our Molson Hockey Night in Canada doubleheader on CBC. The Leafs on the brink as well, but protecting a 2-goal lead as we approach the 4-minute mark of this third period. Todd Gill turned back by Smith. Dave Ellett over to support, flipping it into the air, and Steve Smith took a swipe at it. Didn't make contact, and the Leafs cleared in deep. Jeff Hackett, who replaced Ed Belfour after the 3rd Leaf goal in net for Chicago. Nice play by Burke to kick it free. Rich Sutter back on the ice, so the injury we saw late in the second period, not that severe. Diddick roughed up DiPietro, and for the second time tonight, DiPietro will draw a penalty against the Chicago Blackhawks.
Chicago's got a chance to get back in this game, and they're starting to take some foolish penalties here.
And while Terry Gregson assesses the penalty, let's join Scotto.
All right, Chris, with the Leafs up by 2, I guess we could give odds right now there'll be a Game 7 in this series, and so we've got a chance to ask Mike Gardner, who hurt his rib in the last game, if he might be available to play.
Well, if at all possible, I will. That's a coaching decision. It always has been, and hopefully I'll be ready to go.
Very diplomatically said you should go into politics. Mike, you and I just agreed the Leafs were lucky to not be down by 4 after the first period. What a turnaround tonight.
Well, we certainly did. We got badly outplayed in the first period. Felix came up with a very solid period for us, and I thought we were lucky to get up at 1-0. Then on the other side of the coin, I thought we had totally dominated the second period as much as Chicago dominated the first, and were able to put the score up on the board that we see right there now.
All right, Mike, thanks for your time. Chris, back to you.
Todd Gill with a shot right on as the Leafs start their 6th power play of the game. 2 for 5 with the man advantage. Pat Burns said this morning he wouldn't go with anybody that wasn't 100%. And Mike Gartner is sitting out for Mike Craig tonight.
Well, Diddick, who's been a pretty strong player, gets run into by DiPietro and doesn't like it, and then does this. I mean, you want to win, you can't do that.
Leafs win the faceoff. And it's Sundin's shot, hit a stick. And Brent Sutter up with it. Past Sundin and down the ice. And Sutter and Nichols head to the penalty box for the bench, and Dirk Graham comes out with Murray Craven.
Pat Burns has a forward, Sundin on the point, so he wants that next goal. He's not going to sit back, try and kill off 17 minutes.
Hawks have a shorthanded goal in the series, scored by Chelios, who has it now off the boards, and Dirk Graham. And Murray Craven speed down the ice. Here's a 2-on-1. Craven in, looking for Graham, and it deflects to Felix Potvin. The forward will stay out there now on the point. Here's Hogue speeding back. Up against Chelios. Benoit Hogue to Todd Gill. Tried to get it in deep, but Chelios sends away Suter, and the Hawks pressing forward again. Shorthanded. Suter against Sundin, and it rolls in on Potvin. Under a minute to go in the man advantage, and the Leafs have not threatened with this opportunity. Andreychuk to the line, and offside is the call.
Well, Dave Andreychuk was forced to make a move laterally with the puck as he approached Eric Weinrich, and he did it 2 feet in front of the blue line, and his wingers, his forwards, could not stay on side on the other side of the rink. You're going to see this right here. Weinrich stands up. A nice play. He's beaten, but he caused the offside. Takes nerve to stand up on the when you're killing a penalty, because you have one less player out there to help you on the back check. Weinrich got away with it that time.
45 seconds left in the man advantage, and now Elliott and Mironov, 2 defensemen on the points. And it comes back to Elliott, who takes the shot right on Hackett. Elliott with a couple of assists tonight. Gets it to Mironov, cross ice pass Craig, snaps the shot. Rebound cleared by Savard to the line, kept in by Elliott. Craig's loose, one-timer, and he blasted it high. Elliott shovels it in for Ridley. And Wood, back to Elliott. Mironov one-timing it, that's off the target. Here's Mike Ridley, 10 seconds left, and the pass comes out to center ice. Mironov quickly back to get it against Savard. Dmitry Mironov back in, got crossed up with Wood. Ridley reaching for it, but now the Hawks back at full strength, and Steve Smith moving into the Leaf zone. Sharp angle, and Potvin gloves it down. 13:23 left here in the third period.
The head Leaf, Mr. Stavro, enjoying this game after the first period.
Well, 13:23 away from returning to Chicago, but the Hawks have shown signs of life since the power play goal by Denny Savard in the third period. And Doug Gilmour and the Leafs aren't home free yet in Game 6. From the faceoff, Amonte checked by Bill Berg. Chance in the corner. We'll try to get it out in front. There's Cummins with it. Watched by Ridley. Chance now against McCowan, who takes the puck away. Pass behind Rich Sutter will go the length of the ice. And as Smith goes back to touch it, icing the call with 13:01 to go in the third.
31-31 the shot. The chances to score are about even, but the Toronto Maple Leafs have been a little more opportunistic with their chances than have the Hawks. 13:01, a long time for the Leafs when if you lose, you're out. The Hawks, I know they don't want to think this, but in the back of their mind, they know Game 7 is in Chicago.
Although Daryl Sutter, when asked about how big an edge that might be at the end of this series, he said it wouldn't matter if Game 7 was played out behind the barn. And I bet they had some great games out behind the barn in Viking.
Well, that's what he says, but you know he's happy it's there and not here.
If we need a Game 7. Rich Sutter takes a shot off Gary Suter's ankle. Chelios tried to wrap it around the boards, went by Berg and ahead to Murphy and Craven. The big line for Chicago, moving into the Leaf zone. Craven tries the cross-ice pass. It's Sutter with it, and the Leafs clear, and Sundin is after it. Hackett out of the net. Sundin got there first. Net is empty, and Hackett scrambles back. Berg taking Chelios into the boards heavily. And out come the Hawks. Murphy to the line, tees it up, and a nice stop there by Potvin. Garth Butcher out to center. Doug Gilmour turning back. To Ty Domi, hit by Diddick. Weinrich ahead to Sutter. Pass broken up by Andreychuk. Todd Gill to an open wing. Here's Gerald Diddick sending it in deep for Chicago. Todd Gill has it for Toronto. Brent Sutter forechecking. Elliott to Domi. Ty Domi with the second goal for Toronto tonight. Hands it to Gilmour, who clears it in. Andreychuk awaiting the puck. Knocked away from him by Diddick. 11:20 to go in the third period. Andreychuk along the boards, can't find it. And it comes up to center. Gill almost gave it up, does. Graham was there. And Andreychuk back to help out. Leafs can't clear it out. Now they'll carry it out. Puck gonna hit to Domi, and Diddick will beat him to the puck. Weinrich took a big hit there. That was DiPietro. And Gerald Diddick now. Off the boards. DiPietro on him as the puck slides down the ice. Played by Potvin. Butcher hit by Poulin, gets it ahead to Randy Wood and DiPietro at center. DiPietro going after Smith. Russell trying to handle DiPietro before he gets to the defensive partner and ran good interference. Amonte's on the move. Shot right off. Kenny Savard looking for the rebound to Poulin. Cleared by Wood to the near corner. Amonte after it there, and he's knocked down by McCarron. Fans responding to that hit. Puck comes free for Poulin. Amonte loose in front. Poulin trying to go all the way. Hogue wrapping at it. Puck loose. Denny Savard, who has the second goal, has the puck for Chicago again. Hawks looking for a third, and it's Savard wheeling in front, and that hit escape. Amonte had Potvin down. Here's Savard shooting right on, and Potvin will hold it. And Poulin for Potvin.
Gonna get a penalty for it too.
Felix Potvin robbing Poulin, and now Chicago will be a man short again.
36 to go in the third period. Patrick Poulin takes a goaltender interference penalty on this play. Boy, that's a tough penalty to call at this time of the year. Berg throws a bone-crushing check on Chelios against the glass. Chelios is the target. And he hasn't dominated the way he did the first 4 games in the last 2. Is he tired? Is he hurt? Or are the Leafs paying special attention to him, or all 3?
Sundin clears it in as the Leafs go to their 7th power play of the night. They've scored twice with the man advantage. Gill shot off the skates of Nichols, centered in front. Craven after it. Sundin's moved down and blocked the clear-out attempt. Weinrich against Andreychuk. Eric Weinrich now has Gilmour on his tail. Got it to Craven. And Craven sends it out to center ice. Todd Gill has to be wary of Nichols. And now Graham forechecking. Up ahead for Gilmour. center will shoot it in. Randy Wood, first man into the zone, but it's around to Sutter. Brent Sutter can't trap it against the boards. Now it comes free, and it's Sundin. Over to Gill. Gill cross ice, Andrechuk, well by Hackett. Good stop there by Jeff Hackett, and the Hawks clear it.
It was an excellent stop, and Hackett keeps his team alive with that kind of a save.
15 of the Leafs' 32 shots in the game have come with the man advantage. Mike Craig turned back by Shantz. Now Dave Ellett will set it up with a half-minute to go in the man advantage. And 8:10 left in the third period. It's a 4-2 Toronto lead. Smith bumped by Hope. Gets it around the boards, and here comes Chelios, who scored that short-handed goal. Winds up off the blocker of Potvin and Monty. Along the boards, held up by Ridley. And the Leafs will get control, but the penalty to Poulin is now over as Patrick Poulin has returned to the ice. Eric Weinrich up to Diddick. Diddick taken to the boards by Sutter. And the Leafs clear it back down the ice. 7.5 minutes to go. 4-2 Toronto. Weinrich. This is Poulin with the pass, and it slides all the way down on Potvin. Butcher and McCowan out there on defense for Toronto. Can't get it out. Weinrich shot right on. Rebound. Potvin. They score! Joe Murphy has the goal, and it's 4-3.
7:11 to go. Plenty of time. The Leafs had complete control of the puck behind the net. Jamie McCowan threw it around the boards, and Rich Sutter was not on the boards to stop the pass around, and the Leafs never got the puck back. Potvin makes a big save there, but then it's put in as it sat 2 feet outside the goal line. There's the big stop, and it looks like the play ends here, but the puck bounces right to Joe Murphy, whose feet were behind the icing line when he put it in.
Joe Murphy has his third goal in 3 games. Daryl Sutter showing a little frustration with Murphy this morning, talking about him, saying this is a 50-goal scorer potentially who has not elevated to the next level. Well, he has a big goal for the Hawks. Suddenly, Game 7 is by no means a certainty. A high stick blowing play dead. 6:54 left. 4-3 Toronto. Well, Harry, in the second period, you said how quickly the momentum in this series can change, and changed again here in the third.
The Leafs have got 6.5 minutes roughly of desperate hockey to play just to get to the 7th game. The Hawks will be rolling, you can be sure of that, taking all kinds of chances.
Well, the Leafs look like they might have been home and cooled out when Wood scored the power play goal at the 55-second mark to make it 4-1. But Denny Savard and Joe Murphy have brought the Hawks within 1. The Murphy goal at 12:49 from Weinrich. Here come the Hawks. Avanti to Poulin to Suter, and he couldn't get a shot away. And the Leafs on their heels now, clear it down the ice. Racing for it is Domi, and Domi got there ahead of Chelios. Andrechuk centering it, and it comes to the line, kept in by Gill. Gill to Andrechuk, missed the one-timer. Chelios on Andrechuk, loose in front, hack it down.
Well, the Leafs have had a big advantage with 7 power play opportunities to the Hawks 2. And I'm sure that the Hawk coaching staff and players can't figure that one out. But the Hawks have taken 2 or 3 bad penalties. Ty Domi chose the right route, Chelios the wrong route to save the icing. Good hustle by Domi.
6:07 to go, third period. And anxious times hit the Leaf bench.
Eddie Balfour is going back in. This is a stalling tactic for sure, to give the Hawks key offensive players a chance to take a breather here and take a 6-minute run at the Leafs. And I can assure you that Balfour is going to take the maximum amount of time to get back in the net. And Hackett did a nice job. He made 2 or 3 stops after it was 4-2 to get him alive. Pretty good move by Sutter right here. You're not putting your 3rd string goalie in when you put Balfour back in. And this may be one of a, they may do it again sometime in the last 6 minutes, because it definitely gives you the same amount of time as a timeout does.
Giving players like Nichols and Chelios time. Here's Hogue from the faceoff. Shot didn't get through. Loose for Wood. Can't get a shot away, and Chelios pushes it ahead to Murphy, who has the Hawks within a goal. Here comes Craven. Gary Suter moving up again, firing it, and Potvin handling the hot shot.
Well, the Leaf forwards have got to keep in mind that the Hawk defensemen, especially when Chelios and Suter are out there, are going to be in every rush, and they're going to come off the blue line into the slot every time. And Suter's right there. Randy Wood makes a nice play. When you're the back checker, you see him take Nichols. When you're the back checker, and on the way back, you see 2 of your players and 2 of theirs, you have to trust your teammates. Look over your shoulder and make sure the 3rd guy on the opposition doesn't show up. It was Nichols, and Wood had him.
You can hear the fans chanting for Andy Balfour, who's trying to use this break to loosen up at the far end of the ice. Leafs just send it 200 feet, and Chelios touching it, icing. 5:41 to go.
Well, I mentioned a big job for the wingers who are the forwards who are forechecking. Here's Pat Burns saying, settle down, boys, settle down. But the wingers in the defensive zone, your job, control the boards and control the point man. So anything that comes around the boards, you get your stick on it, or at least you get a chance to squeeze off the pinching defense. Balfour and Hackett, Chelios and Suter are staying out, and they'll play probably 4 minutes of the last 5:40.
From the faceoff, Craig up with it, off the glass and out to center. Gary Suter hit a Monty with the pass, but he didn't see it coming. And as Balfour plays it, the fans respond. Bernie Nichols up to Suter. And he's walked a lot of miles tonight. Patrick Poulin trying to burst in. Ellett cut him off. Tries to push it ahead, and Craig gets it past Suter down the ice. Well, this will come right on to Balfour. Great atmosphere here in the 3rd period of Maple Leaf Gardens as the Leafs try to hang on and force Game 7. Ellett, too far for Craig. Suter back in his own zone. Waits for the line changes. Denny Savard comes on, and boy, he has skated great in this series as he moves in again. Winds up high, shot, Potter, and they score! Brent Sutter has tied it for Chicago.
Well, Savard showing a youthful burst of speed to roar out of his own end and let the shot go, and the rebound off Potvin or off the crossbar dropped in the crease, and Sutter snapped it in. This is the Savard of 10 years ago as he skates past everybody. Lets the shot go. A good play by Graham going to the net to back Ellett off. And you can see that Potvin stopped it with his right shoulder, but the puck dropped right on the stick of Sutter, who put it in, and it's 4-4.
And that's Brent Sutter's first goal in 27 games. Savard and Suter get the assists at 15-23, tied at 4. And what a Hawk comeback from 4-1 down in the first minute of the 3rd period. You know, Harry, the last shift out for Denny Savard when Poulin took the penalty after that great blitz around the Hawk, or around the Leaf net, Savard went to the bench, slammed the bench door, frustrated that he hadn't scored the goal on the previous shift. But what a play by Denny Savard. And the momentum shift is complete for Chicago here. Two-line pass, 3:50 to go. It's a 4-4 tie in Game 6.
Well, the Leaf bench is in a very negative state of mind at the moment, blowing a 4-1 lead with 3:50 to go. If you look at the Hawk bench, those guys can't wait to get on next. They think they're going to finish it off now, and why wouldn't they?
Leafs have to wonder about home ice advantage. They had a 2-0 lead in the series, squandered it at home. Now letting go of a 3-goal lead in this pivotal 6 game. And the Hawks full value for the comeback. 3:33 left in the third. Wood hooked down by Gary Suter. No call. And out at center ice, it's McCowan. Nichols moving up for Chicago. Here's Bernie Nichols firing it right on. Benoit Hogue has the rebound, clears it around the boards. Gilmore up against Craven. Jeff Shantz picks it up. He can't get it by Gilmore, and the Leafs will skate out. Benoit Hogue with Randy Wood. And that's broken up as the Leafs make a change. Ellett ahead to Wood. Long shot on Belfour. And it's now Belfour's game to win or lose. Here comes Savard again. And look at him dance. Into the zone. Drops it off. Amonte fanned on the shot. Tony Amonte into the corner. Patrick Poulin to Savard. Back to Poulin. He couldn't bring it out of his skates. Sundin on the far side, just pushing it ahead, and Weinrich over center, back into the Leaf zone. There's the story. 4-4, 2.5 minutes to go. Amonte checked, and Dave Ellett ahead to Sundin. Points in all 6 games in the series that the Leafs are offside at the line.
Unbelievable how these two teams have looked like they've been beaten teams and then come back and look like they are far superior to their opponent. Hawks in the first, Leafs in the second, and the Hawks again in the third. 2-2-2 to go. It's 4-4 in the Game 6 here at Maple Leaf Garden. And these fans don't know what to think of this game.
Hawks outshot the Leafs 19-8 in the first. Leafs with the advantage in the second, 17-8. And it's now 14-8 in favor of Chicago here in the third period. Gilmore, Andrechuk, and Berg. The front line for Toronto against Murphy. Graham, there's a shot on Belfour. Weinrich around the boards, and Graham now skating out. Brent Sutter, the center on this line, and Potvin had trouble with it. Murphy after it in the corner. All 3 Hawks on the ice have goals tonight. And Murphy and Butcher jostling to get a whistle.
But you're going to have to take a scoring chance away from someone or try and injure someone, I would think, to take a penalty now in the eyes of Terry Gregson. But you have to use your head and make sure you're not retaliating, because the referees in this league will grab the retaliator on a regular basis. Hackett, fully equipped, standing behind the Hawk bench, did a nice job when he came in under difficult circumstances and has given his team a chance to win this game and eliminate the Leafs.
This is the Leafs' 4th attempt for their 200th franchise playoff win, and it has been a tough one to get. And they may have to wait another year for it, unless they can score a goal.
Gary Suter appears to be hurt right at the Hawk blue line. Now the fans are accusing the Hawk player of stalling, but he's
spitting up blood.
He just spit up some blood. And you can see the Hawk trainer out there taking care of him. I didn't see how it happened. Here it is right here. Gary Suter on the face-off, lined up at the top of the circle, steps in and shoots it, and Craig's stick ran up the shaft of Suter's stick and hit him right in the face.
Suter's been a tower of strength again tonight, especially in the third period. He's set up 2 of the 3 Hawk goals that have got them back to even terms.
I think he's been clearly the best Hawk defenseman, and by the look of it, he'll be back. He's checking to see how many of his teeth are still there. They're there, but are they chipped?
May not have lost any teeth, but he'll have gained some stitches before this night's out.
It's hard to stitch those teeth up, though, Chris. He'll be back. They'll all come back when they're hurt at this time of the year.
And the play whistle down again as Gill and Nichols collide. And I guess, Harry, the question about resting Chris Chelios was premature.
Nichols and Todd Gill having a healthy collision right here, right in front of the bench. Chris Chelios seems to stay out there forever. Gary Suter's coming back, bleeding. And he's the guy tonight that has been the offensive star when from the defense core of the Hawks, most of the time it's Chelios.
Minute 39 left in regulation time. We haven't gone to overtime in this series.
We're in overtime now, Chris.
We are indeed. Todd Gill sends it in. Chelios flipping it, but can't get it out. Dirk Graham does. And Dave Ellett back to get it. Ellett ahead to Mike Craig. He sends it in. Sundin and Ridley will forecheck. Suter back on the ice, up the boards. Gill pinching in, kept it in. Ridley shoots towards the net. And look at Chelios, block it, control it, and get it to Graham. Off the stick of Ramsey and sliding into Felix Potvin with under a minute to go in the third period.
I really think the Leafs will benefit more by the intermission going into overtime than the Hawks will.
If there is one, here comes Murphy. Savard rolling it towards the net. Murphy behind the goal. Trying to come out and is shot wide. Butcher up the boards. Berg can't clear it. Here's Denny Savard. Murphy. Quick shot handled easily by Potvin. Andrechuk flipping it out to center ice. Berg giving chase. Steve Smith playing it. Up to Amati. Andrechuk there for Toronto. And Andrechuk lofting it in the air. Smith back to get it with 15 seconds to play here in the third period. Up it goes to Amati. One last chance to end it before overtime. Amati can't get it away. And we are going to sudden death overtime in Game 6.
There's no replacement for speed in this game, and Tony Amati nearly ended this classic with a goal with 5 seconds to go as he blew by the Leaf defenseman and then couldn't find the handle to put the puck in or on the net. And as I said, I think the Leafs will benefit by going in and calming down and getting ready for this overtime. Amante, the little inside fake, and then goes wide on Butcher and then cuts in, and here's where he couldn't get the puck on a stick as he had Potvin coming across the net, and he can't get it again when he was trying to make the shot, but a great burst of speed.
The Hawks outshot the Leafs 69 in the third period. Goals by Savard, Murphy, and Sutter as Chicago roars back to tie it. Our telecast will continue after this.
Here is the goal that forced overtime. Denny Savard went back 10 years in time, led the rush. His shot stopped blindly by Leafs goaltender Felix Potvin, but Joe Murphy was there to capitalize on the rebound. This with just over 4 minutes to go, and as a result, we are headed for overtime. Brent Sutter actually there to put the rebound in. I correct myself. So the Leafs haven't made it easy on themselves in the playoffs and best-of-7 series over the past few years. They've played 35 of a possible 36 games, and they have a long history of overtime.
Paired off to the side. He passed right out to Shaw shoots it off the boards. Bob Bond lets it drive. It goes, scores! Bob Bond let it go. It bounced in front and went into the net. Tappan after it. Stemchowski tries to center it. Here's Tappan and just for the score! Bob Popper! There's the winning goal. Now Turnbull clears it ahead to McDonald. McDonald he scores! McDonald wins it. The Leafs win it. And the Leafs win it. 2-1 and a goal by Lanny McDonald.
The left side, Clark. Clark battles his way into the corner. DeLorme puts him out of the play. Now fighting for it. He's knocked down. Allison has it. Centered it. He scores! Mike Allison scores for Toronto.
Krushelnicki going for the net. The pass back to the line. Shakar. Foligno scores the goal to give the Leafs a 5-4 overtime win. Rouse hammers one back in for Toronto. Clark shoving it to the corner. Out front again, Rouse. Scores! Scores! The Leafs win it!
Gilmore back in the net. Andrechuk in front with Borshevsky. It is Gilmore waiting around the net. Waiting, he's open. Gilmore! Solo job! And he's won it in the second overtime period.
Clark is on it, forechecking with Gilmore behind the net, pushed it out front. It got to the line and Gil's shot. Gardner stayed with him. Now it's Rouse shooting. Hit the side of the net. Gilmore center. Scores! And Toronto sends the series for a 7th game this Saturday.
And unless the Hawks score the winner in overtime tonight, we'll have Game 7 of this series on Friday night at the United Center in Chicago. And later tonight, following prime time and local news, we'll have the completion of Game 6 of either the Flames and Sharks or the Canucks and Blues. The Sharks and Blues both facing elimination tonight. Here at Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, Leafs and Hawks tied at 4 after regulation time and headed to overtime in Game number 6. The Stanley Cup playoffs will continue.
And it's here in Toronto with the Hawks and the Leafs deadlocked at 4-4. 2 other games ongoing tonight in California and at the Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, where the Canucks and the St. Louis Blues are going head-to-head and are just underway. So let's get your first period action there for a time from Don Whitman and Greg Miller.
And at this time, we welcome viewers who have been watching the action from Maple Leaf Gardens. We are 18 seconds into this 6th game of the Western Conference quarterfinal series between the Blues and the Canucks. The Canucks, of course, leading 3-2. And as Steve mentioned at the start of our broadcast tonight, last year, the Canucks won the final home game in each of the 4 series they played. That was Game 6 here against Calgary, Game 5 against Dallas, Game 5 against Toronto, and then Game 6 against the New York Rangers.
And the Canucks are going to have to match this energy level so far that the Blues have given them early in this hockey game. You know their backs are against the wall. They're going to be fighting.
Al McInnes trying to keep it onside, had it bounce off a leg, and now it's deflected up into the crowd and out of play.
Well, the Blues haven't had any success at all, obviously, on the road so far. They've got to pick it up in that regard. But certainly they've shown so far that they're here to play, and the Canucks, as I mentioned, are really going to have to match this. One thing that was very noticeable for me in the New York game and watching it last night was the Rangers came out in a hurry and didn't give any life at all to anybody. They were going to win that hockey game, and the Quebec Nordiques really never got any life at all, and that's exactly what the Canucks are going to have to do here if they're going to win this hockey game.
Well, Mike Keenan, as a coach, faced a similar predicament last year when the Rangers were down 3-2 to the New Jersey Devils and then fought back to win the next 2 games. In forechecking was Gino Ojic, and he took Duchesne in heavily against the end boards, and that drew a reaction from the crowd. Here's Duchesne going to the net, saved by McLean. The big rebound, a backhand shot by Creighton, and the loose puck picked up along the boards by Hedekin. He runs into a hit. Here's Creighton trying to get into position to shoot. Back to the point, Duchesne shot. Bounces to Norton. the short side by McLean. Now Pavel Bure starts away. Hennigan is jumping up into the play. Here's Bure, backhand shot, saved. The puck at the side of the net, and Joseph steers it behind the goal for Duchesne. The Canucks are making a change.
And that's the big first save that Joseph is looking for. He wants to feel that puck. He has to feel it early and gain some confidence here.
Jeff Courtnall, who scored a shorthanded goal in Game 5, drives it in. Baranek is in quickly on Holder. And that hit draws another reaction from the capacity crowd at the Pacific Coliseum. Lume for Cullimore. He tried to feather it ahead to Courtnall. It went off a skate, and Doug Lidster circles back in his own zone. Up into the center ice area. Here comes Dave Roberts. He's stopped by Baranek. Then Todd Alec takes it away from him and flips it to the corner. Way out of his net to play it is McLean. The puck bounces right in front of the net, and McLean is able to get back and poke it away from two Blues.
That's desperation. What an awful feeling when you're behind the goal and all of a sudden the puck's in front of your goal and you're not in it.
Well, that's something McLean does and will continue to do. Come out of the net to handle the puck. He is perhaps one of the best in the league in handling the puck. Here's Chasse throwing it to the front of the net. Tim Hunter takes him in against the boards. Hunter trying to pick up the pass at neutral ice. He's forced to circle. It's banged in by Jackson. Jackson replacing Stoyanov in the lineup of the Canucks tonight. Ruutu along the boards. He scored a short-handed goal, almost from another time zone in the game in St. Louis.
It was well up.
I asked him today if he saw it go in. He said, I just caught it out of the corner of my eye. I was getting set to head off to the bench when the puck got past Joseph.
Let's see if the Canucks try a few long ones on Joseph to get him thinking about it again.
Mark Watson steals, tried to feather it in for Ronning, broken up. Carbonneau at center ice. Backhander that is knocked down by Babbage as the Blues make a change. Babbage is forced to circle back by the forechecking of Carbonneau. He now heads to the bench. Ronning couldn't handle the pass. It's loose at center ice. Aksuda, who made that great feed to Ronning, breaks it up. Now Ronning brings it back in. Amesso going for the net. Ronning looks to the point. Lume trying to get around Tikkanen. Lume still has it. Tikkanen trying to stay with him. Finally, Lume throws it to the corner, picked up there by Aksuda. Aksuda into the slot area. Big winger trying to get set, looking for Ronning. It's broken up by Hull and flipped high to center ice.
Well, Canucks do not want to get too fancy. They just want to throw it at the net, and they had lots of traffic on that last sequence, but nobody shot the puck at all.
We've played 4 minutes in this opening period. It's still scoreless in this 6th game of the quarterfinal series. If St. Louis wins, they go back to St. Louis for Game 7 on Friday night. Creighton in the slot, the shot and the rebound, and Anderson couldn't get a good shot away. Wraparound try now by Creighton. Back to the point, Lidster. Lidster looking for Anderson. Anderson had it behind him, it's centered, and Gilbert was checked in front of the net by Dana Merzen. Now Gilbert goes after the loose puck, keeping it onside for Creighton behind the net. It bounced over his stick. Merzen in the corner tries to move it, lost his stick, kicks it back to his defensive partner Lume. He takes no chances. He throws it the length of the ice.
So, no score at the Pacific Coliseum. I can tell you that Sandis Ozolinsh has scored for the San Jose Sharks from Rafji and Dahlin. The Sharks lead Calgary 1-0 early on there. 8 goals scored in Toronto, 7 of 8 at the south end. Wonder if Jeff Hackett's thinking about that. Bound for overtime. Chicago, Toronto next on Molson Hockey Night in Canada on CBC. His first goal at San Jose Arena, Sandis Ozolinsh. Leaf fans will remember Sandis passing off in a key situation a year or so ago. 1-0 the Sharks lead. Let's get a bit of the action there with Ken Daniels and Brian Hayward.
We welcome viewers now to watching the Leafs and Hawks at the Gardens. A 4-4 tie as they await overtime there. Here's San Jose for the first time this series in game number 6. Have jumped out, scoring the first goal. Sandis Ozolinsh, his third, beat Trevor Kidd on one perhaps he should have had from Dahlin and Rafji just 3:15 into the game.
You really expected Trevor Kidd to come out with a solid game today. He was outstanding in game 5. Got off to a shaky start once again.
Man who's been great in this third series, Theron Fleury gives it to Joe Nieuwendyk. That deflected wide of the net. And Baker with it behind the goal.
And
We'd now like to welcome viewers back to Maple Leaf Gardens in Toronto, where we are set for overtime. First sudden death in this series between the Hawks and the Leafs. This courtesy of a brilliant comeback by Chicago in the third period.
Well, I think the Leafs should have benefited from the rest as they were on their heels when the game ended. They have a chance now to get settled down. Burns has a chance to talk to him. And my guess is that Pat Burns telling his players, we cannot go out there and try and win it in the first shift. We have to try and make them make a mistake, jump on it, and put it in. I'm sure Daryl Sutter might be saying, look, if everything else goes wrong, we got a chance at home in Game 7. Let's see if we can end this baby in the first 5 minutes. Go for it.
Pat Burns' team did not win a game or lose a game in overtime this year, 0-0 and 8. The Hawks won a pair, did not lose a game in overtime. Amonte and Craven were winning goal scorers. Pat Burns probably wondering how the heck did this get to sudden death. Here we go. The Leafs trying to stay alive. The Hawks trying to end it right here. Ridley, Craig, Sundin up against Nichols, Craven, and Murphy. Jamie McCowan batting it in. Ridley behind the net. Tried to get it to Craig, broken up, and Murray Craven starts back. His overtime game winner came against Vancouver, centering it in front. Sundin knocking down Murphy in front. We mentioned the Leafs 4-2 when facing elimination the last 2 years. 3 of those games went to overtime. They won 2 and were ousted last year in overtime by the Vancouver Canucks. Denny Savard at center. What a role he has played in this comeback tonight. Belfour up to Gary Suter. He pushes it ahead, and it slides to Gill. Dave Ellett to Gilmore. Now out with Andrechuk and Domi. Here's Gilmore looking for his first goal. Centered it. Andrechuk reaching for it. Gilmore behind the net. Domi's out in front. Ellett cheating down. Gilmore centers. Domi took a whack at it. Broken up by Savard. Here comes Patrick Poulin. Chelios trailing. Poulin in front. And Sutter just missed it. Now the Leafs wheel away. They're going for it in overtime. Here's Gill. His shot doesn't get through. Ellett took a whack at it. And it's out to center. Is this pace surprising you, Harry?
Quite often the first 2 or 3 shifts of overtime are a lot more exciting than the next 10 or 12.
Domi kicks it free. Andrechuk after it against Chelios without the helmet. Gilmore with room in the corner. Tries to get it back to Andrechuk. Chelios chops it to the board. Sutter can't clear it. McCowan in deep for Toronto, and now Savard. Great move out to center. Denny Savard rolling it in and heads to the bench. Butcher up with it for the Leafs. Now Benoit Hogue, rubbed out by Diddick. And Gerald Diddick will take over. He was part of that Vancouver team that eliminated the Leafs last year. With an overtime goal by Greg Adams. Benoit Hogue. Lost control, here's Chance. Graham puts it in front, Potvin clears. To the line, Weinrich. In behind the net for Graham. Leaves it for Chance. Chance looking for Amonte. Now Chance with it again. Here's Chance in front. Graham the shot. Blocked by Butcher. Jeff Chance again. Tony Amonte. Out to Graham. Here's the shot. It goes high. Chance in the corner. And now DiPietro. Past Hogue and out to center. We're approaching the 3-minute mark of overtime in Game 6. Murphy couldn't keep it in. Here's Paul Berg. And Gary Suter comes back for Chicago. Chelios still out there without the helmet. Chelios around the boards for Craven. Mironov pinching in. Keeps it in. Here's DiPietro. And Chelios working against him. Wood to help out. There's a shot that Belfour played that bad angle shot that holds on.
Chelios has to go to the other end of the rink to get his helmet. Played about 2 minutes without it. And a torrid pace here by both teams in the first 3.5 minutes of overtime. Get the puck on the net in overtime, because your buddies without the puck should be going to the net. But Suter will not let Berg get there. And perhaps it's a good idea, as you see, Eddie Belfour got the puck. Chelios and Gilmore into the end of the rink. And Chelios' helmet comes off. Boy, he's taken a pounding, Chris Chelios, this series. 2 other games have begun. Brett Hull for St. Louis. T-Top tied it up for Calgary in San Jose. Both game 6s.
Suter along the board. Sundin trying to center it. It comes to Bernie Nichols. Out to Craven and Murphy, wheeling with good speed into the Leaf zone. Joe Murphy shot right on. Rebound! Hit the goal post! Craven hit the goal post! Could this be shades of San Jose last year, when Garpenlaw bounced one off the bar and the Leafs came back? Now the Hawks trying to send Craven away again. Drops it off. Chelios in, and the shot off a leg. Into the corner for Nichols. Joe Murphy, watched by Ridley. Murphy trying to power his way in front. And Randy Wood gets it down the ice. Diddick back to get it. Icing the call, and the Hawks came that close to ending the series.
Well, off the goalpost, it wasn't a hard shot, but Potvin was down. And the puck slid into the goalpost and went the right direction if you're a Leaf fan, and the wrong direction if you're a Hawk fan. Joe Murphy's been more obvious tonight, and there's the play right there as Craven gets not enough on it. And the Leafs get the first big break of overtime. And here's what it looked like from behind Potvin. Another big rebound. He's given a lot of those, and then he trips and was in no position to handle Craven's shot. Craven on the bench getting looked at by the medical staff of the Chicago Blackhawks.
Saw Denny Savard there. Trying to slip by Gilmore on this face-off. Wins the draw back to Diddick. Diddick tees it up, and that's off a stick high. Domi flipping it. Glove by Smith, who took a high stick, and a shove from Todd Gill.
No, I don't know whether it was the puck that hit Smith in the face or Anderchuk's stick, but he was trying to catch it. And Anderchuk, I think it was Anderchuk, put his stick up to try and deflect it out of the zone. And let's have a look at it. Smith stays in at the blue line here. Here comes the flip. And you can see Anderchuk trying to tip it past Smith and get away on the 2-on-1. Krivo-Krasov, the right winger, will not let Anderchuk out. And that gives Diddick a chance to tee it up. And he shot it over the net. Nice play by Sergei Krivo-Krasov. Little things on the face-offs can often end up in big things on the scoreboard.
Savard all over Ellett. And the puck behind the net for Todd Gill. Gill had an overtime game winner last year against Chicago. 2 games went to overtime. Jeremy Roenick had the other game winner in last year's series. Won by the Leafs in 6. The Hawks trying to win this one in 6. And icing the call against Toronto.
Now, Pat Burns is complaining that the defenseman pinched and made no attempt to get the puck that was coming around the boards. And that's kind of the rule of thumb on icings. Pucks that come around the boards, if the opposing defenseman pinches and doesn't touch it, they usually wave the icing off. Now, in a regulation time, that wouldn't be such a big deal, but in overtime, defensive zone face-offs, which is coming up for the Leafs, are always a scary proposition, especially when the Hawks have been better than the Leafs on the draw tonight.
Man through the series. Belfort trying to keep loose. One of the great subplots tonight. Belfort lifted. Jeff Hackett came in, and now it's Belfort's game to win or lose. Chelios as the Hawks win another draw. Here's Suter firing, and that didn't miss by much. And ricochets out of play.
Now the winger's job on the face-off is try and fight your way through to the point. And because the Hawk players are holding the wingers up, you can see they made a switch. And Craig went to the left point, or right point, and the other Leaf winger went to the left point, thinking that if they switched up, they might get out there quicker, even though they may end up on the wrong wings. And they did get out faster.
Sundin centering now the line between Craig and Hogue against Shantz, Tony Amonte, and Dirk Graham. Leafs bounce it out through center ice. And we've played 5:15 of overtime. Jamie McCowan up to Hogue. Still looking for his first point as a Leaf in the playoffs. Tying it up along the boards. Sundin trying to work it free. Scrum continues and Hogue pries it loose. Gary Suter with 9 shots on goal in the game. Out to center ice. There's McCowan. And Mike Craig wheeling through center. Dumps it in, heads to the bench. Chris Chelios. He'll log over 35 minutes tonight. Graham just gets it out to center, and here goes Suter again. Gary Suter. Shot right on. And it's Garth Butcher. Up for Ridley. Couldn't find it in his skates. Ridley now out with Berg and Wood. As Pat Burns has changed the lines for the Leafs. Here's Murphy speeding in. Fires it right on. Butcher to the boards. And the Leafs up with the puck. Ridley cross ice and Elliot's on the move. Off the boards. Diddick got there ahead of Randy Wood. And now Murphy with Craven and Steve Smith. Broken up by Mironov. Wood going after it against Diddick. Here's Ridley with the puck. Mike Ridley stays with it to Elliott. Here's a shot deflecting off Diddick. High and out of play.
Well, Elliott was thinking that he had Randy Wood in front of the net and he had no time to wind up and made a good decision and then a good play by just putting a wrist shot on the net and it deflected over the glass. Here's the play right here. You're not going to score on that shot, but if it is deflected, you might. And there were some traffic right there as Wood couldn't get his stick on it. So the face-off is to Balfour's right. And the Leafs, lots of conferences on the offensive zone face-off. Most lines have a little play they like to try every once in a while. Let's watch and see if Gilmore's does.
Andrechuk just waved Domi over to the left wing position. And from the face-off, it went to Balfour. 5-1 shots on goal in favor of Chicago in overtime as Denny Savard wheels in again. Mironov cuts him off at the pass. Along the boards, Poulin trying to work it free against Domi. Brent Sutter helping out. And then they chop it by Steve Smith down the ice. Diddick back to get it, and off the boards to Poulin. Out to center, Savard with Brent Sutter. 2 great veterans over the line. Poulin takes the drop. There's the shot. Off a skate wide, and Andrechuk will turn for Toronto. One-handing it out to center ice. Hawks clear it back in. 7.5 minutes gone. We're in overtime at Maple Leaf Gardens in Game 6 as the Leafs try to stay alive, and the Hawks try to move on to the second round. Krivokrasov digging after it. No icing. Krivokrasov now trying to center it against Ellen. And it bounces to Andrechuk. Trying to pull away. He'll give off to Gilmore. Across to Sundin. Moving in and Suter. Stopped up Sundin. Sundin again. Back to McCowan. The shot. That's high. Krivokrasov and the Hawks now tear out of the zone. Off the skate of Cummins and back to Krivokrasov. Craig hacking at him. Shantz is in deep. That's Cummins behind the net. Centering pass to McCowan as the Hawks finish a chain. McCowan up to Ridley. Can't find it in his skate. Sundin can't reach it. Nichols coming back. Here's Nichols in. Murphy the shot weak and wide. Nichols in the corner. The big line for Chicago sets up. Murphy fires. Kicked out by Putman. That's wide of Belfour and icing the call after Joe Murphy had one of the best chances in overtime.
Well, Felix Potvin is a young goaltender by NHL standards, but overtime, He's a seasoned veteran. He has played 10 overtime games, and this is only his 3rd year of being a full-time goalie. And he makes a big save right here on Bernie Nichols on the rush, and the puck cannot get through to Murray Craven. Murphy lets one go from 27 feet out, and he makes the stop with Craven sitting on the doorstep. Bernie Nichols has been dynamite on the draw, and they're going to try and... Tommy Ivan sporting his Stanley Cup ring the last time the Chicago Blackhawks captured the elusive Stanley Cup. I'll bet he's proud of that. A wonderful man, Tommy Ivan. In 1976, Bob Pulford and I coached the American team in the first Canada Cup, and Tommy Ivan was our general manager, and it was a real privilege to work for a man like him.
Well, his Hawks had 50 shots on goal tonight. And 3 in the 3rd period beat Felix Potvin to force this overtime. Gilmore beating Nichols on the draw. Gill in front of his own net. Ahead to the captain, who spilled at center. And Craven will take over. Gerald Diddick ahead, past Craven. Gill can't reach it. Dave Ellett up to Wood. Diddick for the Hawks. Flipping it back in. Craven digging after it against Gill. And icing is the call.
Well, as the game wears on, the Leafs have been playing for the most part 5 defensemen, as Johnsson has not taken a regular shift. And you wonder whether the 5 Leaf defensemen can hold up as long as the 6 Hawk defensemen. And Butcher and Ellett have come out every other shift. Mironov has been spelled by Todd Gill and Dave Ellett. Johnsson has played very little. So Pat Burns, like many coaches, goes with the guys that have been there before when the times are the toughest. And you don't see a lot of the Hawk young players, forwards, playing much tonight either. 50 shots Felix Potvin has had to contend with. And Eddie Belfour and Jeff Hackett, 35.
Gilmore wins the draw. Here's McCowan. Takes the shot. Belfour the save. And he does get on the rebound, or at least long enough for Terry Gregson to whistle play down, with a real pile-up, including Chris Chelios and Benoit Hogue.
Denny Savard had a tough time stopping Doug Gilmore from going to the net off the draw. And Gilmore nearly put it in as the shot from the point came. Savard has to remember, watch this. He can't handle him. He tries. He knows what he's supposed to do, but then he lets him go. And look where Gilmore is if that puck had been loose.
Gilmore wins the draw again. McCowan shot. That hit a stick, went to the corner. And Gary Suter has it. What a game he's had. Denny Savard hit the linesman, and the puck turned back by the Leafs. Chelios back to touch it. And icing is the call. Chris Chelios. Before that last whistle, had played 33 minutes, 21 seconds.
Well, with 10 minutes played in overtime, that's a little down for Chelios. He's usually up to that mark in the regulation. But this is also a time when coaches look up and down the bench, know their guys are getting tired, and throw a fresh guy out on a line. And the next thing you know, that fresh guy gets a chance to end the game.
Thinking back to Peter Klima, who was so fresh in that Stanley Cup marathon against Boston. I think he sat out 3 periods before scoring the game winner.
Well, it happens every once in a while, but it happens just as often, Chris, when you do that fresh guy costs you the overtime goal. So there's 2 edges to most swords.
Ridley and Nichols dueling. And Ellett from the faceoff. Tried to feed Wood, broken up by Nichols. So Gill will have to try. Up for Randy Wood on left wing. He sends it cross ice. Sundin speeding in. Here's Sundin. Wrap around. Wood scores! Randy Wood! We're going to Game 7. Wood scored the 4th goal that looked like it might have been enough in regulation time. But after 3 hot goals, Randy Wood finally puts it away. Let's join Scott.
All right, 2 goals on the night for Randy Wood, but undoubtedly the second was the biggest at 10 minutes of overtime to keep the Leafs alive in this series. What'd you think of the game?
You know, it was a great game. We had a little bit of a letdown there in the 3rd period, but you know, all in all, the guys played well. We knew what we had to do tonight. You know, now it's to win a game. We're ready to start a 7th game here, so you know, it's a big effort by everybody. You know, you can't say anything more about about the team. We did a great job tonight.
Your biggest goal as a Leaf?
So far.
Momentum in this series, Randy's been awfully hard to read. It's changed from game to game, and tonight changed about 4 times. Can you explain it?
You know, that's playoff hockey. You know, there's so much on the line right now at this time of the year that you know, everybody's playing for everything right now, and you know, there's going to be momentum shifts, and we just have to be there to endure the the tough times and you know, persevere. And as long as we can do that, play 60 minutes, you know, we're gonna be a good team. Tough to beat.
What do you think of your chances now heading back to the United Center for the 7th game?
Great. You know, it's anybody's game. 7th game. You know, I've won 7th game in other people's buildings, and you know, the 7th game, the home ice advantage is gone. You know, it's anybody's game right now.
Randy, congratulations. Enjoy this victory.
Thank you very much.
All right, so Chris, Randy Wood saves the series for the Leafs, and now the Leafs and Hawks will go the distance.
Headed for a Game 7 on Friday night. Let's take a last look.
Sundin with the big burst of speed, and then attracts all kinds of Hawks to stop the wraparound. The puck rolled off his stick right to Wood, and Wood will not get an overtime goal that's any nicer or any easier to put in the net.
What a contrast of emotions tonight. Here are the Molson 3 stars. Randy Wood, 2 goals in the game winner, the obvious first star. Gary Suter, a tower strike for Chicago. A couple of assists in that 3rd period comeback. And Felix Potvin gave the Leafs a chance to win it when the Hawks blitzed the Leafs in the 1st. The celebration on in Toronto. And back with the final word after this.
Weekend it plans to be Friday night. We'll start at 8:30 ET with the Maple Leafs and the Blackhawks. Game 7. 8 and 9 goals at the South End tonight. The South End Blues mean the Leafs have forced this to a deciding game. It'll be a dandy. We'll have that for you. We also should tell you there are 2 other games going on tonight, and we'll be joining the best one later after we go to primetime news and local news. If those games are still going, we'll be joining either the game in California or in Vancouver. Brett Hull has the only goal at the Pacific Coliseum, and Sheldon Kennedy's second has given the Flames a 2-1 lead against the San Jose Sharks. That's just winding down toward the end of the 1st period there. So Randy Wood, the hero with a pair of goals, looked like he had the go-ahead goal that would decide it early. He does get the one that decides it late. His second of the Stanley Cup playoffs at the 10-minute mark of OT means Toronto 5-4 winners. They'll meet again Friday night at the United Center. For all of us, thanks for watching tonight, and good night.